So earlier today, we started talking about our Zik and Federalism. Today's session is part 4, so this is part 4B. We took a break. We took a tea break at 4 p.m. and now we're back. So let's just, before we get started, we're going to continue with the conversation. But before we do all of that, please, if you're on TikTok, please like the live, share the live. Like the live, share the live. If you're on YouTube as well, please like the live. If you're on Twitter, please like and repost. And also, we're going to have a fantastic session today. So right now, no news. That was the cool part, right? We're just going to dive right in. Okay? But let's do the housekeeping before we get started. So please, if you are on TikTok, click on the heart icon above my head. That's Busuyoris just right beside Busuyoris. Please click on the heart icon. Join the team if you're not a member. If you're a member already, just click on it and drop a gift, a heart me, anything, because this is how TikTok works. You have to gift for it to put it out there on the FYP. So let's work with the algorithm. All right. So just let's just quickly do this, and then we can get into today's conversation. One second. I'm trying to see if YouTube is good. Just give me a second, please. We are all we are. We'll defend our land. We believe in this nation. And we'll get there. That song we're playing just now, I think it's one of the best songs. After this national anthem, Tan Lon Sing, which is the old one. Apart from this anthem, I think Tim Dakolo's Great Nation is perhaps the most beautiful song about Nigeria. My opinion. Thank you, Gorilla. Esheo, Ekule. Excuse me. So please, if you're on YouTube, please like the live, share the live. We're about to get right into today's evening session. It's going to be for about 1.5 hours, max 2. And that'll be all for this week. But we have a lot of grounds to cover. So please, if you're on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, please like the live. On TikTok, like the live, share the live, drop a gift. Today's Friday. We're going to end on a high note. Mr. Victor, I'm fine. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We're all we are. We'll defend our land. We believe in Nigeria and the promise she holds, and that someday we'll shine like a sun. We're a great nation. All right. Good job, Timi Dakolo, in case you ever hear this fantastic song. So where did we stop earlier? We're reading the book, Awo, the Autobiography of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, which is our main text for this series, which we started about 2 weeks ago. We've talked a lot about Awo. We've talked about his early life, his childhood, his parentage, his schooling, his struggles, his trials, his marriage, his entrepreneurship, endeavors, and also his political journey, how he was in NYM, which started in 1934 as Lagos Youth Movement because of the question of the inferiority of the diploma of Yaba College of Tech, Yaba Higher College, which we now call Yaba Tech. Excuse me, that was in 1934. We talked about how the Lagos Youth Movement morphed into NYM a couple of years later in 1936. We talked about how Azikiwe joined the movement in 1937 and how his influence helped to galvanize people to vote for NYM in the 1937-38 elections, and resulting in um, the 3 seats in the Legislative Council in Lagos being NYM, and all the Lagos Town Council seats except one went to NYM. We also talked about, Zik. Please, if you're on TikTok, we really need to power tap on Amber Alert. It's not good to have Amber Alert this early. So please, I know you're busy, you're working, but let's do this together. So I'm your representative here. So let's work together. Please like the live. Let's power tap as aggressively as we can. That's the way to keep this going, especially on TikTok. So please help us. All right. So we talked about what happened in NYM and how Zik got into anti-party activities, how he did stuff to just essentially ruin the chances of different members of NYM, whether it was Ade Tokunbo Ademola, who was going to be the magistrate, in the judiciary in Nigeria at the time in the 1930s, and how Zik worked against him by saying that he did not have the statutory post-call experience, even though the entire movement was committed to ensuring that the civil service at the time was Africanized. So they used to call it Africanization of the civil service, but Zik was against that. And also, after he won, Zik was also against him. He wrote against different members of the party who were trying to vie for different seats in Lagos Legislative Council. And one of the things that we also discussed about him, thank you, Ronian. One of the things we also discussed about his activities was the fact that after the event of 1938, 1940, I should say, 1940, after Olaimika Lakija passed, Zik was intending to actually occupy a seat in the Lagos Legislative Council. To be honest, I think that part of history has not been talked about enough. I think I put out a video about that earlier today, but we're going to discuss just a little bit about it right now. You see, Zik's foray into politics, as far as elective positions were concerned, Zik actually wanted to be elected in 1940. What happened in 1951 did not start in 51. So when we get to what happened in 51, we're going to talk about this as well, how he was gunning to become the leader of government business in the Western Parliament in Ibadan in 1951. But 11 years prior, he actually wanted to be in Lagos Legislative Council. And they conducted the primaries in order to fill the vacant seat, the seat that was left vacant with the demise of Olaimika Alakija. And Zik lost. Jibril Martin won. Many people tried to be the one to occupy that post. There was Alhaji Jibril Martin. There was Ernest Ikoli, Obasanjola Kisanya, Maja. There was Zik himself, but Zik lost. He had the list of the votes in 1940. And then, of course, he also had issues with the fact that they were taking they were taking the news, right, or the activities of the NYM away from his own newspaper, which was West African Pilot, into the daily service. And all of those things, I think, aggravated him. And then he went on an ego trip and just started doing all kinds of anti-party activities. And that all came to a head in September of 1940 when they called him for a meeting in October, which he attended. And while they were questioning him and grueling him, he got to a point where he was like, you know what, guys, I know they do again. I come out. I'm not a member of the party again. And everybody started begging him, And Aolo took umbrage to that because why would you beg somebody you're supposed to punish? Or discipline at least. And the reason, of course, they were begging him was because of the coming election. They needed his paper. They needed him to use his clout, his influence to get people to vote for the party. But guess what? He worked against that party, working with Adeniyi Jones. This was in 1941, by the way. And then he was going to leave in October. They begged him to stay. By February, he eventually resigned, and he did on the pages of his own newspaper. And then he did something, like I said earlier, untoward, something never before done until that time in 1941. He introduced tribalism. He had been introducing tribalism into Nigerian political discourse since 1938, but he made it a political party issue in 1941 by saying the reason people didn't want to vote for Obasanjola Kisanya was because it was Ijebu. And that led to Ijebu people getting offended. And eventually, by later in 41, the Ijebu and the Igbo pulled out of NYM. And when that happened, people started noticing that, listen, we have always been nationalists. We're always thinking of the greatness of Nigeria. But this fellow wants the elevation of his own group at the expense of other groups. Therefore, we have to watch him. And so people began to come up with different organizations, because the Igbos, by the way, let's just backtrack a bit to the 30s. In 20s actually, 1928, the Ibibio started their own Ibibio State Union. And then in 31, Urobo started their own. Different groups were starting their stuff. But then by 1936, the Igbos decided to start the Igbo Union. Then it was just called Igbo Union. It wasn't state, it wasn't fair, just Igbo Union. There was an Igbo Union in Lagos, there was an Igbo Union in Port Harcourt. And the idea basically was for them to be able to, especially in Lagos, to be able to break free from being subservient, because of course they were far from home. And that was all well and good until 1944, when they started planning something for Nigeria, which is what we're going to start this second half of today's session from. I'm going to get that in a bit. Before then, sorry, excuse me. All right, excuse me. Oh dear. Guys, please, I need water. Get enemy. If you're on YouTube, please like the live. TikTok, please let's keep our tapping. Thank you very much for your support. So everybody was having their own sociocultural organizations. EPP was the first one, and when they did, it was basically for sociocultural activities, taking care of their own people. When the Igbos started their own, they included something quite different. It wasn't just about taking care of their people. There was a political angle that nobody ever saw coming. And for that, I think I give them credit. They politicized sociocultural groups in Nigeria. Like I said earlier, the person who actually introduced tribalism into Nigerian political discourse was Zik, and when they started 1938. And the person who made tribalism the basis of a campaign was Zik, and when they did that, 1941. I'm going to tell you what they did in 44, which is even worse than everything we've talked about so far. Anyway, 1945, Awo and his friends, Yoruba people in London, decided to establish something called Egbe Omoduduwa, in English language, Society of Oduduwa's Descendants. And it was supposed to be something similar to what they had seen with the Ibibio and the Igbos. But then the Igbos in London had a problem with that, despite the fact that they also had Igbo Federal Union. So it was Igbo unions, became Igbo Federal Union in 1943. And they had a branch in the UK, and then they had a problem with what they were doing. The Yoruba people had to explain themselves, but nobody would hear them. So Aulo was called a tribalist. Yoruba people were called, tribe, just like what happens today when people call Yoruba people tribalist for speaking their language, to call you bigots, not because it's a reigning thing, it's a talking point, not because it really makes any sense. Anyway, they did that to Awo in 1945. Then in 1948, the organization that was founded in London was also re-established in Lagos by Sir Adeyemo Alakija. And then by the time Awo was in Ibadan at the time, and then he started the Ibadan branch, and then became the secretary of the entire organization. And we talked about this earlier before we took a break, that as soon as they started that organization, Zik and his people were against Egbe Omoduduwa in Lagos, and they also called it the same thing. It was fascist, it was tribalist, it was all of that and more. And then we talked about the Lagos Press War of 1948, where everything came to a head with Zik, using his own papers to denounce Yoruba people. And something quite interesting happened with all the exchange. By the way, from 1938 to 1948, not once did Yoruba people actually respond the way they should respond. And the primary reason was because they did not have the... So remember, there were three major newspapers before West African Pilot was introduced in 1937 by Zik. One was Nigerian Daily Telegraph, and was edited by Ernest Ikoli. The other was Lagos Daily News, was edited by Herbert Macaulay, and then there was Nigerian Daily Times, edited by Bates. Now, all this, everybody also thought, like, we're Nigeria, we're Africa, we are good people, great nation. When Zik came with his West African Pilot, it was good at first, and then later it became tribal. Now, Yoruba people did not have a tribal outlet or a media outlet that was tribal in nature until 1948, when they took over the daily service. And we talked about what happened. There was back and forth between West African Pilot, Zig's paper, and Daily Service. So the Igbos were using West African Pilot, the Yorubas were using, you know, Daily Service. Which also reminds me, I was going to tell us that whenever you hear people say things like, "Oh, Yoruba people use media, Lagos Ibadan media to spread propaganda," it's not true. What Yoruba people have done since '48, I'm saying this categorically. What Yoruba people have done since 1948 has been to respond. We have usually been reactive when it comes to news, especially when it has to do with inter-ethnic issues. We're usually reactive because somebody will come because maybe the person is cursed with ignorance and they don't know where their origin is, and then they will write somewhere that they're the original inhabitants of Ife. I mean, somebody will claim that they're from America, they founded Europe, they're from Israel, and suddenly they are from Ife. You respond to that, you're a tribalist. Meanwhile, the person you're talking to is the ignorant buffoon who has no idea where he's from. How that is supposed to be my problem because of Nigerian unity, I don't understand. Why am I talking about this? Somebody sent that to me, just a few minutes ago. So, and I'm reacting in public. But it's the truth. Like, you have to be very dumb to assume that you must change people's story in order to make yourself feel comfortable. And if I speak, especially because not only am I from Ife, Ife is actually the spiritual, is the source. That's the word, is the source of all Yoruba people. And just to say in passing what I said yesterday, I said I would not for now have a full session on that matter, but I will say it there. Ife is not just a spiritual capital of Yoruba people. It is the spiritual capital, the cultural capital, and the political capital of Yoruba people. But of course, everybody has his own place. So it's not like a case where everybody has to go and take authority from Ife or anything, but there's a connection, our origin, our culture, our source is Ife. The idea that another place is the kingdom of everybody is not true. Okay, there's no superiority context, but it's important to be mentioning this thing from time to time because even today somebody had put something on one of the videos, a comment, and somebody came with Oyo, and like, kilo Arabi, obviously, right? Ife is the source. Oyo was a great empire. It was an empire for 200 years, from the 17th century to the 19th century. It was an empire for 400 years, from the 11th century to the 15th century. And it's not even about comparisons or competition, but it's important to make this clear from time to time. All right. And to also remind us that history is sacrosanct. It doesn't change based on people's whims and caprices. Having said that, the Yoruba people started their own group and then decided for the first time in 10 years, they began to trade words with the Igbos using West African Pilot, and they worked at each other for a while. And that led to what I called earlier Lagos Press War of 1948. But beyond the press war, people began to buy weapons. They were buying cutlasses and machetes in Lagos. The Yorubas were buying, the Igbos were buying. And on September 2nd, 1948, Zik was interviewed by Nigerian Daily Times. Excuse me. But I'm trying to make sure I'm on that page. Yeah. On September 2nd, thank you for the gift. On September 2nd, 1948, Zik was interviewed by the Daily Times. And they asked him about the fact that Igbos were buying lots of cutlasses. And Zik said, "Oh, it doesn't mean anything. It's just, in fact, let me read to you what he said." So, you're not going to be like I said, I just put word for him out. In response to alarms raised about mass cutlasses purchased by Igbos, Azikiwe declared the brandishing of cutlasses and machetes were only for propaganda purposes. When did they say this? On 2nd September 1948. 6 days later, Zik published this in his own paper. He said, "Henceforth, the cry must be one of battle against the Egbe Omoduduwa, its leaders at home and abroad, up hill and down dale, in the streets of Nigeria and in the residence of its advocates. The Egbe Omoduduwa is the enemy of Nigeria. It must be crushed to the earth. There is no going back until the fascist organization of Sir Adeomo Alakija, who was the leader of Egbe Omoduduwa at the time, has been dismembered." So this the plan. So 6 days prior, Zik said the cutlasses they were buying was for propaganda purposes. 6 days later, Zik is saying now that they should attack the people, and Papa wrote in his book that they were attacked. Houses were, properties were because they had their own group called Egbe or Mozudua in Yoruba land. And to make matters worse, Zik went beyond just attacking them. He said to get a few Yoruba people to start something called Yoruba Federal Union. Sadly, some of those people, their children are also disturbing us today. It's amazing. It's amazing. They started this thing where they were uncomfortable with Egbe Motudua, so they worked with certain Yoruba people to create a parallel organization called Yoruba Federal Union. And to that, this was what the Yoruba people said in the daily service of June 1948. I'm going to read from here now. The picture that leaves me bewildered, this is the author in the daily service. The picture that, this is a Yoruba author writing in the daily service of June 1948. The picture that leaves me bewildered, however, is that of Zik, an out-and-out Igbo, inaugurating a Yoruba Federal Union. It may be said in mitigation that he had but the poorest materials out of which to erect the Yoruba Federal Union, having only managed to scrape together the waifs and strays of the Yoruba race. He had no Yoruba unions to federate, for no Yoruba union would submit to the degradation of being federated by Zik. Nevertheless, the daring of the man is staggering. By attempting so openly to create divisions among the Yorubas, he is approaching the 0 hour of his checkered political career. He is playing with the trigger of a loaded gun, the muzzle of which is pointed ominously toward his own forehead. Can anyone imagine a Yoruba man in Onitsha or Nnewi organizing an Igbo Federal Union? That's the definition of one Nigeria to certain people. That's why I say things like when people use certain words in Nigerian political discourse, it's important that we ask for the definition of terms so that we're all on the same page. When some people tell you that they want one Nigeria, I want one Nigeria, but what that means basically for me is that we should unite based on common interest. They want one Nigeria, and what it means for them is removal of every boundary and uniqueness that each ethnic group has, and the elevation of their own ethnic group to ensure that the superiority is acknowledged by all of us and we bow in their shrine. That ain't gonna happen. Interestingly, a few years before this happened, somebody had made a statement. His name is Charles Onyema, who said that the Igbo domination of Nigeria is only a matter of time. That was in 1945. But I always tell people, when people speak like this, sometimes we should ask what happened before then. You see, in 1940, Zik wanted to be a representative of in Lagos at the Legislative Council. That's what Zik wanted in 1940. It did not work for him. So in 1944, they had a plan, and the plan was to take over the entire country. Now, 1945 was where Charles Onyema came out boldly to say the Igbo domination of Nigeria is only a matter of time. He said that because he knew what plans they had. Anyway, 19 years after that statement, in 1964, a document was released that was meant to be distributed, circulated, I should say, internally within the national caucus of the Igbo State Union. But, and by the way, it was actually labeled Secret and Confidential, Igbo National Caucus Protocol, Secret and Confidential. Now, there are 3 books. I'm just going to mention them, but I'm going to read what actually is in that document. And it also confirms that this plan has been in the works since 1944. What's happening on TikTok? Okay, we're good. Since 1944. So there are 3 documents. Number 1 is the IUL collections on civil war. You find this document there. You also find it in Just Before Dawn by Kolio Motoshaw, and you'll find it in the Educated Elites in Nigeria by Ayondele. Now, this document it didn't just come out. It came out around the time of the war, was when people started getting it. And when books were coming out after the war, they published a lot of those things. Also, materials based on what was happening in Biafra during the war was also released by, you find that in the speech by Anthony Nauro, was a speech he gave in 1968, August 12, 1968, at Addis Ababa. All right. the kind of plans these guys had was just amazing. If you put all of those things together and then look at the letter that Ojukwu wrote to Victor Banjo, which you will find in the book by Adetun Ogunseye. The book is called Breaking the Silence. By the time you put it together, it's called that whatever it is that Ojukwu was saying in 67 was actually directly, and 68 as well, was actually directly linked to what was happening in 64, which correlates to what happened in 63, which goes back to what happened in 60, Motifodate. What he was saying in 67, which Antonio now talked about in 68, correlates with what they did in 66, which aligns perfectly with what was planned in 65, which is the same vision that Ojukwu had in 64, which goes with the plan that the Eastern region had in 63, which goes all the way back to the original plan for the entire Igbo Union in 1944. What did they say? Let me quickly read this. The census misfortune, by the way, this document, Igbo National Caucus Protocol, was signed by two people. That's how we also are able to understand, to be able to verify the authenticity. It was signed by two people. One of them has a road named after him in Lagos, and that's one of the reasons it may not happen now. But eventually that name has to be changed. Ozuwan, by the way, should not have a road in Yoruba land named after him for two reasons. Number one, this document I'm about to read. Number two, because he wrote a book called The Rebirth of a Nation, and in that book he lied and said all kinds of things, pushing the exact same tired narrative of Yoruba people and all being tribalistic. Meanwhile, for some reason, they don't tell you what happened in the 1930s. But we are doing it now. Let me read you this document. It was signed by Mbadiwe and Mbanugo, Dr. Mbadiwe and Dr. Mbanugo. Again, the document is called Igbo National Caucus Protocol, Secret and Confidential is the mark it carries. The census misfortune and unavoidable circumstances now endanger our 20-year struggle. Remember the figures, 20 years. When was this published? 64. 20 years from 64 is where? 44. All right. The census misfortune, by the way, there was a census issue in 1963 that caused a lot of ruckus. We've talked about this before. Excuse me. About this before, and how, that led to secession plans by the Eastern region. But that's not today's topic. But I'm just saying that. So I say we don't tolerate Is Dark Intelligence who I think it is? All right. Maybe you are. I think you are. Let's quickly read this. The census misfortune and unavoidable circumstances now endanger our 20-year struggle for the achievement of our objective. Enemies of our fatherland have alerted the decadent Yoruba and the reactionary Northerners. The indiscreet utterances of many of our men have contributed largely to the dangers which now beset us when we have almost reached the goal, the promised land. You must no doubt remember that a similar indiscreet utterance by C.D. Onyema gave us no end of opposition by the Yoruba when he publicly stated that the domination of Nigeria by the Igbo is a question of time. Who is speaking here? The Igbo State Union, the National Caucus of the Igbo State Union. Outwardly, all our official and unofficial utterances must adopt an opposite procedure, and we must always do our best to appear honorable and cooperative. Remember, a statesman's words do not have to agree with his acts. So much for being honorable. Anyway, in the East, now we'll get to the plans they had for every group. In the East, the Efik, the Ibibio, and the Rivers tribes are still under complete control. Speaking of people in Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Rivers, and Bayelsa states. It says all these people are under complete control. You wonder what happened with the abandoned properties in Port Harcourt. It was a reaction to something. We won't talk about the thing, but as we read, you put two and two together. Again, if you want to understand that a bit better, please read the book by Elechi Amadi, Sunset in Biafra. It says in the East, the Efik, the Ibibio, and the Rivers tribes are still under complete control, even though their dreams for their own state have been completely shattered. When we get to the matter of state creation, I will see this thing again. Despite the intrigues of Okotiebo and Omosage, Okotiebo was Itsekiri, Omosage was, I think, was Edo. These are people that were fighting for the creation of the Midwest state. But then it says here, Despite the intrigues of Okotie and Omosage, we have succeeded in clamping Osadebe firmly on the Midwest saddle, thus taking care of Urobo, Edo, and Ishekiri. Why did he say this? You see, I will say this yesterday, but just in case you were not here, you see, when the Midwest, agitation for the Midwest started in the 40s, late 40s, but it became very pronounced in the, actually thought they were going to have in the Midwest what the Yorubas had in the West. Because since they are the primary ethnic group, or they're the major ethnic group, majority ethnic group in the Midwest, they thought they were going to be the ones to be in charge of politics. And at the time, the Edo as a people, that would be Benin, Esako, there's a name they used to call them, that's what comes to my mind now, but they don't call them that anymore. Folks now, Chi, but the other sides, they call them Edo. There were about over 600,000 people, right, in terms of population. Please don't send any requests. We don't bring anybody up. Not now, until much later. What was I? So you have a situation where the Edo people, no, not Bendelo, just, wait, I'm going somewhere. The Edo, present the Edo state, they were seen as an ethnic group, right? So you have the Benin, you have the Esan, you have the Esako, and so on and so forth. MDA, that's the word. I just didn't want to use it. That's the exact word, but they don't call them that again. So those people, they were the majority in the Midwest. That's what Williani on TikTok is calling Bendel. So Midwest is what we now call was what became Bendel, which is now Edo State and Delta State. So they were over 600,000 in population, and then you had about 300 and something thousand Igbos, and then over 300,000 Urobo and Ishekiri. Sorry, Urobo and Isoko, and then you have Ishekiri, who were about 100 and something. So apparently, it became very clear that those people in Edo expected to be the ones to win. But what did the Igbo State Union do? They ensured that they clamped Osadebe firmly on the Midwest saddle. Why? Because Osadebe was Igbo. Which is why I also tell people when they get angry with Igbo people and they're arguing, I say there's no Igbo in the Delta State, there's no Igbo in Delta, there's no Igbo in, there are Igbos in Delta State. They used to be part of Western region. Right, and they made sure one of their own. Number one, NCNC had that area to start with. Number two, they made sure it was one of their own who became that. And the reason someone says, so why are you even bothered about this? Because there's a pattern that keeps repeating itself. What happened in 63 with ensuring that Osadebe became the premier of the Midwest also happened in 67 when Ojukwu made sure that it was Okonkwo, an Igbo man, who became the governor of the Midwest, or of what they call Republic of Benin. It's the same thing. I can assure you, if they get this Anyoma thing, I feel sorry. Well, it is well with them. The point is that the whole idea is to push that Igbo agenda. Now, like I said earlier, if a political party was making this statement, you know what? It wouldn't mean anything. It's a political party. We want to make sure this person wins. Our own man must win. But you know, the crazy part is that Okotiebo and Omosage were in NCNC. They were all in the same party, but they were not Igbos. Therefore, they were not allowed to become the head of government. Even though Omosage was from the majority ethnic group. Similar to what happened in the last election in Lagos, when different people were trying to become governor. In fact, you know, the person who ran for governor, you know, on the LP platform was not the original candidate. Again, it's Nigeria's history, Nigeria's news is for the most part deja vu, like you're seeing it all happen all over again. So it says, number one, they've completely shattered the East, the Efik, the Ibibiu, the River Tribes. That's for the Eastern region. Then for the Midwest, what they did is to ensure that Osadebe was the one leading, thus taking care of the Urobo, Edo Ishekiri. Then he said, Okpara showed his hands too quickly last year, 1963, when he was overconfident that the census figures would be to our advantage and that the struggle was almost won. He would have pampered Fani Kayode. Now they've come to the West. We've talked East, we've talked Midwest, we're talking West, we'll get to North. Fani Kayode, sorry, he says he should have pampered Fani Kayode till an NCNC victory in the regional West elections was secure. Then we could have ruthlessly dispensed with him and put a more amenable person like Akifo Shile in the saddle. In other words, there's always a Yoruba person who is willing to dine with an outsider at the detriment of his own people. Play up Awolowo at all times. This will keep up the resistance of Action Group members and stop them from uniting with the NNDP to form a solid Yoruba front. This is vital, and there is no harm in this pro-Awolowo propaganda, for he is no longer a headache or danger to us. Why? Because I ensured that he was in prison in 63. So, and I mentioned yesterday that when you read the book by Wole Soyinka, the book is called You Must Set Forth at Dawn. You see how Soyinka talked about the role that Ukonu and Michael Okpara played in setting up radio stations for them in order to, talk about Awolowo and things like that. And they set up the radio station in Papa's house. The truth of the matter is, what he did not know was that they were not doing that because of Awo. According to their own document, which is what I'm reading right now, they did that because they were trying to break the Yoruba people apart. This is what they said. They said, play up Awo at all times. Play up Awolowo at all times. This will keep up the resistance of Action Group members and stop them from uniting with the NNDP to form a solid Yoruba front. Is it a political party talking here? No, it is an ethnic association. Then they say here, this is vital, and there is no harm in this pro-Awolowo propaganda, for he is no longer a headache or danger to us. We are happy, but when to Koradaradayi, Olowa Kowe, who signs this document is the same person who wrote the book Rebirth of a Nation, saying I was a tribalist. What is tribalism? But this is not even tribalism. This is like treason. Let's continue. What is the title of Wole Soyinka's book? That particular one is called You Must Set Forth at Dawn. Many of these books are available on Redomin Books on Telegram, so you should check it out. Then it says here, so let's go to what they have for the North. We are happy that our protocol on cessation of newspaper attacks on Sardauna and other northern leaders have stopped. Amechi and Okafor are to be complimented so far. Everything must be done to appear to appease the Sardauna and Ribado. But Balewa, we can always deal with. In other words, they used the newspaper to attack Sardauna until a particular time when they stopped, and they mentioned the people in charge, Amechi and Okafor. And then they decided that, listen, we're going to appear to appease the Sardauna and Ribadu. Who was Ribadu? He was the Minister of Defense at this point. But you see, Balewa, we can always deal with. I think they dealt with him in 66. I don't know if they're the ones that did what they did, but Ajekela no Omokulo ni na paja na lo pa ọmọ oni abi Omokula no Ajekelo ni ba yan so. So it says here, if we can then win the West, who are the we? Again, this is not NCNC speaking. This is Igbo State Union. If we can then win the West at the next regional election by keeping the Yoruba divided, we shall secure control of the federal cabinet and the country. Not in 1964, as we envisaged, but in 1969. 5 years may be a long time in our personal lives, but to a people such as ours, it is further time for preparation. That's the plan that those who call you tribalists, that's the plan they had for every single one of us. Like every region had something. The Midwest, the West, the East, the North. And none of those things included them succeeding or prospering. It was as long as the Igbos did well, they were good. If you're an Igbo person here, this is not against you as a person. Nobody's blaming you for any of these things. And I don't do this because I want to castigate you or denigrate your ethnic group. That's not the point. The point is that there are certain things that your people have done, your leaders have done, that have set this country in the trajectory that it is on at the moment. And there's a reason why certain things will not happen. I was going to play a video earlier, I forgot. But now that I remember, I'm going to play it now. And then I'll use that to explain something before we go on. Oh boy. Because I think one of the problems of Nigeria is that, see, the elders, they know what's up. They know what happened. They were there. Some of them wrote the books. You don't know, and they've hidden the information in books. all you see is what they do, and you call them demons, but you have no idea what they know. So what young people should do is, number one, all these are moral basis of understanding things. That's not how life works. We have to calm down, understand exactly what has happened in the past, and then use that to if you want to even make things better, at least you go know where they come from, bah? And to make matters worse, when this particular plan they had in 64 did not work, what did you think happened in 65? August of 1965, they started planning a coup. When this plan did not work out in 64, exactly as they planned it, they planned a coup in 65, August. By the way, there was a coup planned in 64 as well. It's just that it didn't materialize. That was the one that Ojukwu himself planned. If you want to know about it, there are two books I'll quickly recommend. Number one is Reminiscences by David Edgar. Number two is Emeka by Frederick Forsyth. The truth is, Nigeria's story, Ogun, Kolonsha no one. Mumbo, I want to play you something, and then it will help me to explain what I'm about to say now. All right, take a listen to this. Sorry, one second. All right, so let's take a listen to this. This is a conversation setting people. It was a podcast. There is Okon. All right, so who is an actor. There is I think this guy Nedu. A number of them. They're saying things, but I want you to listen to what they have to say. Then I'll tell you my own point of view. Take a listen to this.
We should own up to our mistakes, and then, because sometimes it's better not to fight than to fight, because at the end of the day, the key persons who started the war are still alive, and their family are still beneficiaries of the Nigerian government, and all of that. Let us not see, you are hurt now because of the wrong political decisions of people.
Where do you think the country got it wrong with the Igbos?
We possibly got it wrong during the 1966 Kaduna Zogu-led coup.
I want to ask you, do you believe that Nigerians have forgiven the Igbos for the Biafran War?
Now, the thing is, it will be very difficult, if not impossible, for that forgiveness to happen, because there has to be engagement.
Everybody having a time to air their views totally, because too many people are hurt. Lost a lot. My grandfather had a heart attack fighting for his properties after that war. Who will tell you that their relatives were part of the people that they told to stand somewhere in Delta around Asaba to wear white and shout one Nigeria? What are you going to tell those people?
When they say Biafra, why it is it's going to be a little hard to sell Biafra to us is this.
The first thing he said when he talked about the Nzogu-led coup made me realize that we really need some education in Nigeria. Nzogu-led coup was bad. What Nzogu did was terrible, but let me tell you the truth. What Nzogu did wasn't as terrible as what happened on the 16th of January. What happened on the 15th was terrible. The killing of the Sadauna, the killing of Samuel Adekunle, the killing of Tafawa Balewa, killing of Professor Sokotiebo, killing of Memalari, Lagema, Ademulegun and his wife, 8th-month pregnant wife, Ralph Shoda-Inde, Kur Mohammed, Lagema Pam, Afsat, the Sadauna's wife. All those things, all the killings, terrible. But you see what happened on the 16th? There was no bloodshed, but it was worse than what happened on the 15th. And by the time you put 15th and 16th together, that some people will get some kind of political clinical in Nigeria. Oh boy, Ododi. Afiti Abashari, in Kota saw Alima saw, and I don't, of course. Those fathers, they say they wrote it in books, so If these ones are talking about everybody needs to come and talk, every book that has been written by people from the South on this matter has been pushed against, not debunked, pushed against by Igbos. Why? Because it is their birthright to own the victim narrative about Nigeria generally. Like I said earlier, that narrative of victimhood did not start after the war. It started from 1940s, from the 1940s. You saw it in the speech that I read earlier from Azikiwe, the speech he gave in 1949. Somebody said if Fajina was Azikiwe's cousin, there was no way he wasn't warned. It's even more than that. We have facts that he was actually warned. It's not about it's not about conjectures like, oh, maybe he was there, maybe he didn't really know, but perhaps he knew. When we say maybe he knew, it's out of respect. He knew. And I have the documents to prove that he knew. Some of them are from Nigeria. Some of them are from the British archives. Some of them are from different books. But guess what? He knew. Said he was going on a boat cruise to the Caribbeans. Left that one, went to the UK. Wasn't sorry by the 15th when the whole thing happened. How can you as a president travel and your ADC tells you, "Oga, at the go house"? ADC. That man, I don't know if you saw the video. President Tinubu traveled today. Went to Japan. His ADC was with him. They traveled together. Everywhere the president is, the ADC has to be there, right? Excuse me. The ADC has to be there. Well, in this particular case, the ADC had to leave Azikiwe in London, in the UK. His own personal physician, his doctor, had to leave him and return. When people even say Ironsi also knew, it's not just that Ironsi knew, it was deeper than even just knowing. Ironsi's knowledge of the coup, it was beyond just I knew about it. It was more like it was beyond I knew about the coup. Today is not the topic of the coup, but since we are talking about it, when you read the biography of a soldier statesman by J. Sawa Eligo, you will hear what Gowon said about what Ironsi told him that same night that the coup happened. You will see what Ironsi did in the morning, how he told them to wait another 5 hours. You will see what Njoku said about him. Then if you read Njoku's own book, Tragedy Without Heroes, you will see what Ironsi said in that one. If you now read Nigeria's 5 Majors, you will see how Ironsi escaped being killed. And the people that and the people who did it were the same people that when you read Adewale Ademoyega's book, Why We Struck, you will be able to tie all these things together. Irọ́ náà kàn pa for everybody. Ṣé rí nǹkan tó ṣe ní pé àwọn àgbààgbà tó wà ayé ń gbà yẹn, wọ́n mọ̀ pé irọ́ everybody ń pa. Wọ́n mọ̀. Wọ́n lè má sọ. And this is the problem with Nigeria, I think. The fact they know, they just don't say it. Because they want to appear to be fair. The problem with that is that the hurt is still there. You're not talking. There's some people that just they hate us, just be talking. The real power guys, they don't talk. The real powerful, they don't. Even something that I still cannot say here, self. With all this, the books we are reading, there are certain things I'm very, very careful of reading. That's why when people come here, like the clown that came here earlier and talk about, you're not objective. I'm like, if I really tell you what your fathers did, there's something that we're trying not to get into. So if these little ones, and I can assure you, the few things that we have read in the last 1 hour, many of those things are not out there in the open. They're in books. So the books, I didn't dig it. They're in books. They're in bookshops. They're read the books. It's in books. But if these ones that we can share, and I'm sharing it as mildly as possible, if these ones are bad enough, how about the things we can't share here? I got some documents this high. The kind of thing people have done in this country. I said something some time ago that the fathers have eaten sour grapes and the children's teeth are set on edge. The children have no idea what is happening to them. That's the problem. And so every time the children talk, they go back to the rhetorics and propaganda of their father, not the actions of their dad, of their parents, not the actions of their fathers, but the propaganda of the... So it's not about their actions, it's about the rhetorics. They repeat the narratives of the father, but they never talk about the actions of the father. Either they don't know, or they know, but they are deceiving themselves, because they know that most of us, we are good people, great nation. Very loving, compassionate, empathetic. So what did they do? They weaponize your empathy. Somebody said they've been over-pampered. Actually, they have. And it started long before independence. There's no, I've said it before, I'll say it again, there's no region of Nigeria. And I know you can say the north. Yes. There's no region of Nigeria that's been as pampered as the southeast. None. And let me tell you something. Nigeria, we should be grateful that we had Gowon in the late 60s. If it were to be Murtala Mohammed, oh my God, because he was the original person. You know, Gowon did not plan the coup. He knew about the coup, the counter coup of July 1966. He knew about the coup, but he did not plan it. The ones who really planned it, the major person was Murtala Mohammed. Not only did they plan to have a coup, they planned to break Nigeria apart. They're going to have 4 different nations. They already told the Hausas to start moving. They commanded airplanes to take people back to the north. The soldiers on foot, those ones are supposed to go to Ilorin. Those ones want to get one little law. They don't have time to be speaking English. Let's just be grateful that that's why when people go on social media and insult Gowon, me, I'm like, are you guys okay? Because what he did, I don't think anybody would have done that from the southeast. I don't think so. Considering what happened in January, considering what happened in 67, I don't think anybody would have done anything close to what Gowon did. But guess what? Let's insult Gowon because we think we understand what really happened. Again, let's just be grateful to God for someone like Gowon. Don't insult him. But we insult him, he doesn't like us, he hates us. Okay. Anyway, all of that to say that when you watch that video, the people talking, even they do not know how bad it is. The only narrative they have is that people were hurt, people were in pain. What they didn't know was what caused the pain. And I've said several times, if all your conversation is based on what happened, you are at a very low level of understanding. You have understanding, but it's very low. It's not about what happened. So you know what happened. You have to know how it happened. You have to know who made it happen. Then you have to know why it happened. And once you do, when people cry about beside me, the fact I'm even able to listen to them alone is because I'm a Christian. I'm telling you. Because if you know you'll just be crying. If you really know what happened, someone says, so what happened justified the crying? Which crying? Christina, which spine? Today's not about the war, but guess what? I don't even mind suspending this. Which spine did he justify? The fact that from September of 1966, Ojukwu was already bombing Lagos. The war did not happen until July of 67. No. Ojukwu declared Biafra May 30, 1967. There was police action, there was no war until July 6, 1967. But from September 66, Ojukwu bombed places in Lagos, bombed the bridge at Ore. I'm not saying September 67, September 66. Ojukwu bombed part of Federal Palace Hotel, where they were going to have constitutional conference in September of 66. People died. And don't tell me about what happened in the north. We've heard that thing a billion times, and it was terrible. But guess what? Let's talk about what happened in the east. The Hausas that were killed in the east. Let's talk about what happened in the Midwest. The Hausas, the Yorubas, the Benis that were killed in Osiomo, that were killed in Ugeli, in Wari, in Sapele. Let's talk about those ones. Charles, say you lied. What you are saying, I don't even mind, because I can assure you, you don't know Jack. The only thing you know is what Nnamdi Kanu told you. If people are... See, Nigeria is like this because people are actually benevolent and merciful and forgiving. If they take it out on you, what you did to them, you will not be living anywhere close outside your region. If Nigerians were taught, you see the way we talk about history, I'm always saying it's not people's fault. Why do you think I say that? Because it's not about putting out knowledge that cannot be weaponized. So I have to find a way to, I have to find a way to express in such a way that doesn't aggravate others. I don't really care about how you feel about it because you don't even understand the pain that you've caused people. So I'm always saying, oh boy, it doesn't mean that the Igbos are not the ones that did, but I'm always putting all the caveats. There's a reason I do that though. And that's how our elders in the West, not in the Midwest, certainly not in the North. Today is not about the war, but if we want to talk about his send request, especially I'm talking to that particular person. I might even leave this and continue on Monday. I don't mind. Oh, guys, do you mind if we continue this stuff on Monday and bring this person up who wants to talk about? Do you guys mind? Oh, wait, hold on. Let me ask our audience. Because you just came here for the first time. I've not seen you here before, but I have audience to. So everybody, do you mind if I bring him up and he says what he wants to say? Because this might actually be quite interesting. Okay, you don't mind. Okay, so let's bring him up. I've sent you. I've accepted you. Oh yeah, Mongbo, you are here now.
Oh.
Go on.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you here to play around?
I said, can you make a video of what's the name of the VC of UI and Unilag situation?
Oh God, we're talking about the war now. Somebody is countering me in the comment section. No. Let's not change the topic. I've talked about what happened with Njoku again. I've talked about it before. Let's stay on topic.
You know, a tweet went viral about it yesterday.
That's not today's topic. That's not why I brought you up. Did you want to speak on the war? Is that why you came up?
No.
Okay, don't worry. Thank you. Okay, turns out, what you were saying about Njoku, I've talked about it before. Njoku was the VC of Unilag. Kennedy was the VC of UI. Those two people were put there by true nepotism. There's no other English for it. It was nepotism. And when that other person's term was done, and they were going to bring in a Yoruba person, his name is Professor Sapuri Biobaku, a Yoruba guy, Adams, decided to take a knife and stab Biobaku in the name of he's a tribalist. Why can't they let Njoku, an Igbo person, stay in Unilag? Why are they trying to get him to go? Meanwhile, he had already finished his term. Of course, the term was renewable, but why should you even renew it? So let's have another person. He stabbed him. Again, those are the ancestors of Yoruba bots. But we have that session. I don't know. I thought somebody was actually. I thought the person. No, the person is not Uche. The person is actually Adam. He's a Yoruba boy. The one that stabbed is a Yoruba person stabbing another Yoruba person for an Igbo. Because according to him, the other Yoruba person was a tribalist. This sophistication by me, nobody. All this you guys are waxing lyrical in the comment section about the war now. Come up now. See, let's not even talk about that. Guys, please, can you please give me like one moment, just a second, please. I promise. I just want to quickly do something, please, so that I can concentrate. There's something distracting me here, please. But if you want to come up on that particular matter, please feel free to send your request, Mombo. bathroom in the next 1 minute. All right. Thank you very much for staying tuned. So I was saying that, I mean, I don't know if anybody really want to talk about the war, but please, if you want to, please feel free to come up. The case of people, we talked about that yesterday. No, if I'm not talking about the war, I'm going back to the topic. We already talked about the archaeologists, and I don't see any reason why people should go that mad. I mean, state your case, but all this, Igbo cannot work. He's a professional, and the Yoruba people also working in Igbo land right now, as I'm talking. As archaeologists, it's a professional work. It's not a personal matter. But again, that's topic for another day. We even discussed it earlier today. Anyway, nobody is planning to come up here. Let me just say this, and then we'll go back to the topic. I really would have loved to actually talk about this, I would have loved to talk about it because folks who are waxing lyrical in the comment section, they refuse to come up. The truth of the matter is that what we've had over the years on this war business is just propaganda and victim narrative. The truth is totally different. Baba, address the Christina lady. What should I address? Let me scroll up. I'll find it. Christina, because you guys are bad. I mean, I can't see what she actually said though. Why do Yoruba always paint Igbo bad? But I think Yoruba archaeology should be part of the project. There are Yoruba archaeologists in the project. They've been doing that stuff for 10 years. And the director of that stuff is a Yoruba man in Ife. He's in the museums, National Museum is in Ife. He's a professor Adisa. The anger is unnecessary, to be honest. There are many Yoruba people on that site. They've been working for 10 years. They're almost done. People now got angry because one person is recording. But I get the anger. The anger is all right. It's just that the way we expressed it. Of course, people are changing our history. So it's a matter that we guard it. But also we have to be careful not to go to the, oh, you know what I'm being caught on archaeology about me. Christina, so let's do it this way. No, it's valid. It's valid. It's just the way it was expressed. It wasn't expressed based on, I don't know. Christina, please come up. I promise you, I'm going to leave today's topic and just talk to you. Chile, do you understand how to read the room? Chile, like you got to be able to read the room. You are just asking questions that have nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Record is very key role in archaeology. So what record is it going to write? That Igbo people put it there? No. We have to be very careful. Again, like I said, some people were not. Some people think this whole conservative thing is about just hating people. You can give a short answer. Would you make me give it? No, I'm not. All right. She's not coming up. But let me just help you with. Let me speak to you, Christina. Nobody is painting your ethnic group bad. There are two things that are going on. Number one is that culturally, we are all different people. That's the first thing I think will help you understand what I'm about to say next. Understand that we are all different. Your culture is totally different. And because of the way you were formed and your history, you tend to behave a certain way. But that's not even the real problem. The real problem is that those who have come out of amongst you to lead you have done a terrible job, especially as far as history is concerned, and especially in relation with in relation to other groups within Nigeria. So if those people are talking about what you did, don't take the path that requires the least amount of brain work, which is to say they hate you. You see, you don't have to be a thinker. You don't even have to be smart. So just say something like, you hate me. That's why you're saying it. Once you say it's because the person hates you, your brain shuts down. In other words, you're not able to think beyond that. You don't care about the history. You don't care about your antecedents. You don't care about what was done by people, your forebears. You don't care about any of those things. You just go straight to, he hates me, that's why. And when you think like that, you cannot grow. So maybe you should try and fix that, and then everybody will be fine. All right? Why can't I ask about important topics that genuinely affect Yoruba folks? Because you have to understand the room. Just because you have questions does not mean you should ask them. And even if you ask, doesn't mean you're going to get answers. Understand the room, please. Since that person is not coming up, let's get back to the book. Again, I invited the person, but they didn't come up. So let's get back into this. Where were we? All right, we're talking about what happened in 45. We're talking about what happened in 48. You know what? My mind is out of this book now. I've spent too much time on this war stuff. I'm finding it very difficult to get back into this. What time is it? It's 6:30, so we have about 30 more minutes. Let's use the 30 minutes on the war. We'll come back to this book on Monday. I said it earlier, so as I said it, my mind just went with it. We'll do this on Monday, okay? But at least we've done the whole thing about, let me read this part. In 1945, another Igbo leader and a member of the Nigerian Legislative Council had declared the domination of Nigeria by the Igbos is a question of time. It was clear from these statements and from the general political and journalistic maneuvers of Dr. Azikiwe over the years that his great objective was to set himself up as a dictator over Nigeria and to make the Igbo nation the master race. It would appear, according to his reckoning, that the only obstacle in the path of his ambition was the Yoruba intelligentsia, and these must be removed at all costs. A situation in which one ethnic group will dominate the others does not accord with my conception of a united and happy Nigeria. I am implacably opposed to dictatorship, as well as the doctrine of Ehrenfolk, whether it was Hitler's or Dr. Azikiwe's. So that's where we're going to stop on that particular thing. The next thing we're going into would be the proposals that the Egbe want to do are sent in 1945 for the revision of the Nigerian Constitution. That will be on Monday, and that will take us into state creation, which will make us visit the 1958 document, the Willings Commission report from 1958. But before then, we'll also talk about the plan that Azikiwe had for Yoruba land in 1957 and what happened at the Constitutional Conference in London in 1957. A few more things we're going to discuss, and then we'll call it, oh, sorry, that will be on Monday, all right? But since we started talking about this whole war business, let me just address some things. But if anybody feels, certain people, okay, so let me put it this way. There are people who are who will say things in the comment section. You may not be able to come up, maybe because you're busy or you're afraid that people are going to insult you. I'm not going to insult you. I don't insult people I don't even insult generally. I don't do it. So don't be afraid. Come up. But I know that some people may not want to come up, so you can write what you want to write in the comment section and I'll respond to you. I said my father is Shekiri, my mother is Ondo. Why are you using another account? Are you not the same person that was talking to me about secession the other time? You're just using different accounts, Abby. So let me address one of the things in the comment section. Or you know what, to make it easier, it's 30 minutes to the end of the session. So let's do it this way. I'm going to bring some people up, but please, when you come up, no fighting. You're not insulting Igbos. You're not using this as an opportunity to bash any group. You're just going to make your submission. I really would have preferred that you're talking based on the topic. Whatever you want to say, you have some minutes to say it, but please, let's keep it respectful. And if you're Igbo, you want to speak, please feel free to come up. But please, the only thing is this: I can't stand baseless emotional arguments. So if you have and you don't have to agree with me, you can have your own, just that when you bring it up, we can dissect it and then we can ask questions and have a great time. All right? But please don't come up and be shouting, you hate us, you hate us. That's very childish and it makes no sense. Thank you for understanding. Let's bring some people up now and then we can have like some chit chat. I'm going to time us because of time. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for the gift. Oh boy. You know, sorry, I'm going to take you down. I'm sorry. I have to do. Okay, you know what? Go show Matasha.
Yeah, bring
Good,
somebody else in.
No, I'm even going to bring you back up. Mombo.
Okay, no
Mombo,
problem.
just a second. Mombo. Ejo. I have to switch the audio source and the device I want to use is not online at the moment. So please just give me a second. Please, if you sent a request and I brought you up earlier, kindly resend your request. I will bring you up again. Sorry, I forgot that I was muted. So I was like, so the gentleman who came up earlier, please resend your request, Mr. Day. I didn't see the full name, but please resend your request. I'd like you to come back up. Somebody said I should respond to Christina. I don't know what to respond to. That's the problem. You know, I don't know. Like, okay, please, maybe you got it. Be able scroll the bed. What was the question, Pato, that she asked? What was the exact question? I don't mind responding. I don't understand. I can't see a question. All I see is just whimpering. Just a normal, you hate me, you hate me. That one is not question. But we'll see if she's going to come back up later. Let's have CEO. Okay, come by. Ijeshaman, please go on.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Busui.
You are sounding very far away. What's happening?
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Though?
Yes, I can hear you now. It's good.
Yeah.
All right, please go on.
What a wonderful section this has been. Eshegon, thank you very much for the wonderful insight. However, actually, Mr. Busui, lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ti archaeologists, actually, the issue is that our people have been too accommodating to the extent that they never used to question the excesses of a lot of people. You understand? So and now you know, considering everything that has been happening, you know, so our people are now awakened to the fact that they must question things. You know, and that is the reason why people just want to know that. I mean, and now, I mean, we know that. I mean, how far these people have gone to rewrite our history. In fact, they even publish some books as well. You know, just writing a lot of gibberish in them. So to now leave our archaeological sites in the care of those people, man, only God knows. You understand? So that is the only thing I want to say. Our people are getting awakened every day, you know, to know their rights. I mean, and part of their rights, I mean, to exhibit it is by asking questions. You know, yeah. Thank you very much, sir, for a good work that you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Thank you very much for that. And like I said earlier, I understand it perfectly. And like I said also that the anger is understandable, but and it's a pattern not just for Igbo, it's a pattern amongst ourselves. I'll give you an example. So many of the people who are becoming passionate about this Yoruba thing, to be honest, it's just a fad. It's a fad. It's like it's a happening thing. It's hip. You know, there was a time I saw something on Twitter this morning. I was just laughing. The person said, if you are APC, or sorry, anybody who supports Bola Tinubu should write their names here and so I can follow each other. I saw it and I just smiled. Ojo be annoyed when it was, if you are supporting Peter Obi, if you are obedient, right, let's follow each other. Now the pushback has happened, and so it's now fashionable to say, oh, if you are APC or if you are for supporting Tinubu, let us do this. So what you are seeing basically is that these guys they are taking it on, they don't really understand what they are fighting for. That's one. Number two, when we're having this conversation about the indigenous status bill, these same people went into Twitter insulting politicians. Oh, want it body. Oh, they didn't say anything. Oh, this. Meanwhile, many of them, sincerely, I'm not saying everybody doesn't know what they're doing. I'm just saying that there's a lot of passion, but very little knowledge, right? Oh, want it body. They're going to bring this bill. They were sending even me. I was using messages on just about every platform, TikTok or Twitter. Oh, they're going to take all over the land. I'm like, we've been having this conversation since March. You just woke up in July. We cannot rest. Oh, all this cannot take body. What is shaking? Come like, okay, what's the process of when you pass a bill? What's the process it goes through before it becomes a law? Oh, the well, what you call your second reading? It's going to become a law. I'm like, in other words, I get the passion, but how about understanding the process? With this matter, the guy is writing the fines. Number one, this is not an Igbo exploration of Yoruba land. Also, another funny thing is, it's just like what happened with the indigenous status bill. The whole thing started in March, right? And then the public hearing happened. That the same way, this thing people are angry about started in 2015. This project, I saw a picture of the director, the Yoruba, Professor Adisa is Yoruba, and Tone director is Yoruba. The other person is French because they're the one bringing the money. So it's a project that they're doing with, it's a foreign project, and then you have our own person, the director. They've been talking about their fines for years. I read some of the findings last year when they invited Oni. Oni went to the site. He saw some Igbo people there and was telling them stuff. Although that one, some of the things that happened the Igbo in Ife are not Igbo of Southeast. That's why, if you notice also, whenever I write Igbo, I write IBO. It is not because I'm being disrespectful. It's because I think that in order to have peace intellectually, we have to revert to the spelling that we all had before all this confusion started. There were 3 or 4 ways of spelling Igbo. There was EBOE, there was IBO. Some people use IGBO, but it was not popular. It was not popular until the 1970s, and people did not even use it like that until the 1980s. What you find in many of the documents is IBO, EBOE, mostly IBO. It was when they started changing the name that I started hearing that Igbo is Ife, Igbo is Ijebu Igbo, is Igbo Ora, is Igbo Kinika. That's why I spell it as IBO. I don't want to confuse anybody. And it started when they started claiming to be the Igbos of Ife. The Igbo of Ife are the Ugbo. And they're the ones in Ilaje. The Igbo of Southeast, even the word, because they don't pronounce it as Igbo, it is Igbo. The pronunciation of the name is IBWO. I studied Igbo in secondary school for 3 years. And I had an A. Although I don't remember anything more than numbers. I still remember the numbers. O2, Abo, Ato, Ano, Ise, Asa, Asato, Itolu, Irina, Otu, Irina, Abo, Irina, Ato, Irina, Ano, Irina, Ise. I can be telling you the numbers. So it's Igbo. That is how you pronounce their name. All of that to say, what was I even saying? The point is that the work itself is not an Igbo excavation or Igbo project being carried out in Yoruba land. It's a foreign work being done, and it is headed by our own person. And we have Yoruba people on the team. Whatever that person records, it's not like Oti Kosile is not going to be published. It is going to be peer reviewed. I don't know if you were here when I was discussing Orobado. By the time I did a session on Orobado, the whole Benin thing, and how the kings, the resting place of Benin kings in Ife, And there's a part where you will read documents by Thurston Shaw that, carried out archaeological work in Ife at the time. It's not like the person is the one digging everything and checking everything and writing everything. It's that he's the head. You have people there, but then you have to still check. There are different checks and balances. And so when you see this person, number one, he's not anti-Yoruba. Number two, you look at his antecedent, he doesn't hate you, he doesn't write against you people. Number three, he looks like he's actually a professional, attested to by his own employers. Number four, he's even one of the people that helped Yoruba people doing archaeology in Abia State. Number five, the work is not automatically recorded and published. The recorded work is not automatically published. There's a lot of process that it goes through. But if we don't get that, we just say, we can make that clear. We don't want Igbo in our history, and it is factual. You should say it. Because we've seen a lot of books coming out recently saying that Igbo's own Ife, all those nonsense that they're writing, I don't know. Again, for them, and I'm sorry if you're Igbo, but I think many of you are lost. One day you're from America, the other day you're from Europe. I've played up some videos here. I don't know if I should do it again, but if there's time, I promise I'll do it again today. There's America, there's Japan, there's Europe, there's Israel, there's Ife. Like, where are you from? If you don't know where you're from, just relax, just keep watching, keep searching until you discover it. And every single one of these groups have said you are not from them. Especially Israel. They even conducted DNA tests. Once we conduct DNA tests as Yoruba people, before you guys just keep quiet. What those people are doing on Twitter is not baseless. They are doing it because you are entering into people's stories and rewriting it to make you feel. If you don't know where you are from, then, and to be honest, there's no. I've read different books. I can't find a story. I can't. I'm still looking. I went to buy some books last week. I like to buy books. I've not found it. Maybe this weekend I'll read it. If I find the answer, I'll tell you. You can't find it. Where exactly are you from? And you know what? Let me tell you something about Yoruba. Let me give an example. Yoruba people, we don't even bother with where you are from. We will tell you we are from Ife. See, if you are not Yoruba, I just praise God. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. I'm glad I'm Yoruba. Do you know how audacious our forefathers were? They didn't go around looking for where they are from. You know what they said? They said the entire earth was created in Ife. That's what they said. They didn't bother, we're from here, we're from... everyone is from us. Oh boy, that's how you know. It's similar to what Chinese did. Everybody came out of us. When white people visited Ife in the 18th century, they were told this. In the 19th century, they were told the same thing. They said, listen, your fathers were made, they were created in Ife. We can even show you their quarters. That's how Ife people told David Hindera in the 1800s. They said your ancestors were created in Ife. We can show you their quarters. Do you want to see where the Igbos were created? That's the mindset. One day you're from here. In fact, you know what? I'll play this video, but let somebody speak. Lady B, do you want to say something? Let me find that video while you speak.
Yes, Mr. Reese, thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
So much for this. I recently just started following you, and
thank you.
You are teaching stuff about history. Please, before I move into what I want to say, I need to ask you, because I've been learning a lot from you. It is whose idea for Nigerian schools not to teach history? I beg, help me out.
Nigerian schools teach history.
As per the Civil War, what preceded the Civil War, and all of that.
So here is so two things. Number one, there's history in Nigerian schools, but there are things that are not discussed.
Exactly.
That's one. Number two, there are also, if you're in primary school, they will not teach you about the Civil War. Apparently, they just teach you, basic history, Nigerian unity. When you get to secondary school, you learn the basics. If you want to go deeper, you have to go to art class.
Okay.
can only learn those things in art class, SS1 to SS3. And even then, they'll be teaching you about Kanem Bono Empire and Oyo Empire and things like that. Some of the deeper parts that we're looking for, you have to study it in uni. And even then, to be honest, many, I'm not, and this, with all sense of responsibility and all the humility, if I can use that word, many of what we have discussed, you will not hear it in class. But let me tell you what I have come to appreciate. The fact that we can all read.
Thank God.
So we can all read. But the truth of the matter is that certain things are not discussed because national unity.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the books, the thing is that they've been written. There's nothing, the funny thing, the people who are shouting national unity are the ones who publish these books.
Exactly.
So they want you to know. They just want you to get to a particular point where you are capable of critical thinking, and then you can now access those materials. But the materials are everywhere. The books are all over the place. It's just that Okonwa Olobe. But they don't teach certain things because they are thinking of national unity and everything. And we have said no victor, no vanquished, which is a major problem in Nigeria's history. But yeah, that's I hope that answers without having to go deep into it. All right.
That clears it for me.
But history is in schools, Sha.
Yeah, I'm actually a communication student, so I'm getting some of these things. So thank you very much for what you do. Most of the things I hear about Civil War lately, most of them are from you and a couple of other content creators that do history and all of that. And at this point, I'm a little bit kind of upset as to nobody in my house sat me down to tell me anything about Civil War. They would just say, that's the highest you hear in my house. Nobody will tell you how Igbo man shortchange anybody. Another thing I hear that was common growing up in Yoruba communities, Yoruba Ronu, stop betraying yourself. Nobody ever sat me down to tell me anything negative about the Igbos. I grew up with the Igbos in Lagos State. I must tell you, as of today, my best friend is Amaka. Another one is Susie. The Susie is from Delta State. Amaka is from Enugu State. My daddy married an Igbo man from Enugu State who has 3 beautiful children for my father. So I have nothing against the Igbo. But I must tell you for a fact, these people hurt me deep into my bones as to the way they disrespect you. Look at some of the comments that comes here. Why do Yoruba hate Igbo? Which Yoruba people sit their children down, teaching them about how to hate Igbo, telling them, I don't know anything bad about the Igbos apart from the things I'm seeing happening in their region right now, how they go outside the country, how they are representing us. Until my adulthood now, that I'm seeing things by myself, I can never say, I don't know any history about them. I've always heard them say Yoruba betrayers, Yoruba did this, I will lower this, I will lower that, how they hate Yoruba leaders. Until recently, when I started seeing them, that they are actually the one, the history I'm hearing, like they are actually even the one provoking the entire country. They are actually the one, a whole generation sat down and poisoned the mind of young generation of Igbos who are adults today, telling them things that, I've been hearing, I saw something in one of your content where somebody was saying, we will do propaganda, we will publish it, we will pay CN. That is what they have been using from day one, turning and rewriting history to tell you that these are the people I love the most. I have lived in Enugu. At the point I was speaking Igbo. There was that during the time of the Civil War, Yoruba doesn't really have a Moguna. We don't have many people in the military. My father was picked on his way from school to go and join the war. They sent him. That was the closest story I heard about Biafra War. About the Civil War, that's the closest. My father was picked as a Yoruba boy because they were picking young Yoruba boys. The Yoruba people were picking young Yoruba boys to go and fight war. My father was one of those young boys that was picked on the streets and sent to camp, and they was looking for him. After a few months, they sent him to go and fight war. He received a bullet somewhere in his shoulder, on his side, but he's still living up to today and held it and sound. That's the closest I've ever heard close to the Civil War. Nobody sat anybody down in the Yoruba race. We are so magnanimous, we are so accommodating that I don't even know the difference between the tribes I am and the Igbos and other people in Lagos. Up to today, that the Igbos will now want to contest in our own community and to change the people that we would want to lead us. You want to come and lead us. You said something in one of your, I saw one of your content and somebody said, where are you from? They said they don't want to, this national identity problem. They want, If you ask me, I'm Nigerian. Where in Nigeria? I'm from Lagos State, from Oshodi Solo local government. I will still tell you my local government.
You can't be from Lagos State, though.
I'm telling you, for instance.
This will tell you that you cannot be from Lagos State. That is a lie. You can't be from Lagos State.
I'm just giving you for. Anyway.
No, you don't get the point. You don't get the joke. You get the joke, Abby.
I get your point. As a matter of fact, I am a Lagosian. I'm an Awori. I'm from Lagos. I am an Awori. I was born and brought up in Lagos, in our environment. But they will tell me that I am not a Lagosian because they buy land in my community. All my cousins have sold all our land. The people that are supposed to be using lands to do maybe lease, they don't sell the land. They sold the land, they went into the bush, leaving these people in the eyebrow, leaving them around Okota, Agbo Palace Way. And these are the ones that will be walking up on your shoulder. Go to Agbo Palace Way now. They are the ones there. Go to Okota. They are the ones there. This is not to say that Igbos are bad. I love these people until when I switched off on the Igbo race during 2023 election. I saw the raw hatred for Yoruba land. I saw how they were trying to take over Southwest. I saw how they were. The things you do with us, nobody can try it with you people in your region. I said that my friends today that are my best friends are Igbos. As of this minute that I'm talking to you. I can count the number. I have taught the entire Igbo states, courtesy my father. But I can count the number of Hausa states, Abuja, Kaduna, Nasarawa. That's all I've been to. I have taught the entire Igbo states. That's to show how much I love them. To see how these people stood against us in 2020. How they hate Yoruba. Until recently when I was listening to some of one of your...
Take one more minute, please.
Yeah. One of your content that they usually attack Yoruba leaders, and I saw it. This same man, Tinubu, that they hate the most, is the one that even gave them everything, giving them liberty of contesting and holding positions or working in the civil service that can never happen between Igbo and Igbo in other Igbo states. May God bless Nigeria. Peace to everyone who wants peace for us. But we can never build one Nigeria if we don't respect one another, if we don't stop rewriting history. Let's accept what has happened as what has happened, and let's build from where we are. Respect ourselves. If they give you space, take. What you can't take from me in your region, don't come and do it in my region. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I like the fact that you said you love them. And I think people don't understand what love means. People think love means you pamper. But love can be tough. Love should be able to correct. Love should be able to tell you the truth. Love can be firm. Love should not hurt. But sometimes, when somebody disciplines you, the Bible says that if you're a child and the father doesn't discipline you, it's because you're a bastard. So the truth of the matter is that it's something that people should really, calm down about. But you've changed my topic now, so I cannot talk about the whole America thing, or should I? Should I not? Maybe I will. But the point is, I'm glad, I like the attitude you have. But let me quickly read something here. I think we're going to move away from. So I want to read this because of what you said. Let me start by saying this. I'm Yoruba. My dad passed 10 years ago, and it was Agbalagba. We think he was young, but it was a grandpa of many grandkids at the time. I'm saying that for a reason. From when I was a child, since I was 8, my dad and I would read newspapers. He would ask me questions based on what I'm reading. And since I was a child, up until 2015, there was not one time. We read newspaper almost every day because we used to buy papers every day. There was not one time that we discussed the war. I started reading papers in his hearing at age 8. He'll correct me, we'll read the news, we'll talk. We never, even as I grew up and we'll discuss current affairs, we never talked about the war. And I'll tell you why. The reason is because, you see, after the war was over, there was this declaration of no victor, no vanquished. And it's not wrong. Let me tell you why it's not wrong. You see, we have fought amongst ourselves as Yoruba people. And after Britain came along and we settled this whole thing, after the Kiriji War was over, we essentially have this no victor, no vanquished among ourselves. For instance, if you talk about or Ibadan in a certain way, and you say, oh, Ekiti did this, or you say to Ekiti, you say something about Ekiti, me, I'll be like, like somebody was doing yesterday on Twitter, like, what are you guys looking for? What are you trying to gain from this nonsense? Because our parents were able to mend the walls, and they were able to bring us together, especially with Egbemo Dudua, which came up in 1945, even made it even a lot better. Therefore, we don't go back to revisit the painful past for whatever reason. And that was what these people had in mind when they came up with the no victor, no vanquished thing. And the people I meant specifically would be Gowon. In truth, what they did wasn't wrong. But in reality, I mean, truth and reality is about the same thing. But I'm saying in practical terms, it is failing. And the reason it's failing is not because what they did was wrong. It's because the person they are trying to work... Sorry, I'm going to have to mute this guy. Oh, Mojo Mara. Where was I? The idea of no victor, no vanquish, let's forget the past and move on. There's nothing wrong with that. But you only do that with people who are, please try to understand, no jabs, but who are culturally developed, who have culturally evolved to the point where they understand how to take responsibility. In other words, if you do something good with a person who doesn't understand it, the good you did would be taken as evil because you are dealing with somebody whose idea of good is different from what you consider to be good. Therefore, you are bad as far as they are concerned. It is not that you are bad. It is that the person you are dealing with has a different definition of good and evil. Therefore, as far as it's concerned, no matter how good what you think you did was, he says you did bad. And again, if you notice, I'm speaking in parables, fill in the gap. And I know you are very wise people, so you fill in the gap. But what I'm saying basically is this. You have a situation where a people... Okay, so let me explain this way. And I've said this before, I'll say it in another way. When you fight, there are usually two options. When you go to war, there are two options for the most part. And it's usually clear. Victor, vanquished. Victor, vanquished. When you fight a war like the Nigerian war, this Nigerian civil war of 67 to 1970, it's important to mention who the victor was and who the vanquished was. The victor was Nigeria. The vanquished were the Igbos, not Biafra. Was the Igbos. Because it was the one that spearheaded the whole idea of Biafra. Regardless of what you are hearing right now, there are books for days on this topic. But here's the point. Because Nigeria said no victor, no vanquished, the Igbos had to pick something. They couldn't pick the victor because they lost. They couldn't pick the vanquished because that would hurt their pride. So what did they do? They invented a third option. It starts with a V as well. It's called victim. So you have the people who can't say they were the victors because they did not win. They can't say they were the vanquished because they don't want to hurt their own pride. So they say they are victims. Now, victimhood is a powerful weapon in the hands of a propagandist. If a person keeps crying to you, see what you did, see what you did, after a while, you begin to doubt yourself and wonder, am I that bad? Did I really do that? I must have done it. That is why when we talk about victimhood these days, people fight and they're angry, is because their entire identity is built on victimhood. And it happened because if it was a developed culture, they will tell you they were vanquished. Let me give an example. It's a question I'm going to ask. It's a question. World War II, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Who was the victor? Who was the victor? Anybody, please. I know you are you know history. World War, right? The atomic bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Who was the victor? The US. Who was the vanquished? Who was the vanquished? Thank you. I've gotten the US bit. Who was the vanquished? Japan. Japan was the vanquished. Has Japan ever said to you that they were not vanquished? See, Japan is a very highly developed culture. They know where they messed up. It's a fact. What's the relationship between US and Japan now? Cordial. Before China's rise, Japan and US were best, in terms of, what's the word? Trade volume. Because Japan, but everybody knows what happened. But once you say, I didn't win, you didn't lose, the person now says, okay, what am I? They now invent things. Even if you told Japanese that they were not vanquished, they will tell you that they know that they were vanquished. It's a product of deep thinking. It's a product of high cultural evolution. That's why I say in Nigeria, we are up. It is well. So people are, all of us are growing. Every culture evolves. There's no perfect culture. I'm Yoruba. I'm proud of it. It's way heads and shoulders above many. I won't even compare. But it's not perfect. But where he did, the place where he did, Mojos is different from the point where they tell you that you did something. You're looking for people to blame. Can you imagine somebody was typing something yesterday, it's just that I got tired, was saying, Victor Banjo should not have done this. He did wrong. Every single case, not once would you blame a person who is Igbo or the Igbo leaders. Meanwhile, let me tell you this, if you're Igbo, so you know that this thing actually touches my heart. If you are Igbo, and I've seen a few people who actually understand what I'm doing, Igbo people who are really educated, who are informed, they know that I'm on the Igbo side. I'm actually on the side of the Igbo as far as the war is concerned, not as far as Nigerian politics. So Nigerian politics, I'm on Yoruba side and on Nigeria's side. Well, I'm on your side if you understand true federalism, but I'm against you if you're trying to steal people's land. That one. But when it comes to that war, they will tell you that I am actually on the side of the Igbos. Why? They did not ask to be killed. Whatever, when you go around, let me recommend the book. It's a book by Ken Saro-Wiwa. It's called On a Darkling Plain. Whatever you heard Igbo people say about that war, in terms of the support first, did not come organically. It was an idea planted by Ojukwu and the Igbo intellectuals, starting with the Nnewi clique. Go and read the book by Nebo Graham Douglas, Ojukwu's Rebellion and World Opinion. The Igbo people did not ask for this. Somebody had an ambition to have a country. It was not what happened in 67 that made him do that. It was in 66. The first time Ojukwu talked about having his own country was in June of 1966. The crisis that happened in the north was in September of 66. Ojukwu's plan to have his own nation was even before whatever Wala started. And that was after the May crisis. See, please, nobody hates you. The people who hate you are the ones who tell you that other people hate you. Because they take your eyes away from themselves, and you now focus on people hating and say, oh, you hate me, you hate me, you hate me. I don't even care that you are, what am I hating? And one of the major problems, because of that, no victor, no vanquish, was that the person that should have been punished was pardoned. If you're going to pardon him, at least punish him first. So your actions have now confirmed that Igbos are economic threat to you. It is irritating. Igbos have never been economic threat to any sane human being. You don't produce, you import. You have been importing since the 1950s. You know what? I don't like to talk. Oh, what's your name? I don't like to talk. What's your name? I need to mention you. Let me give you the notoriety you're looking for. Hard work pays. Please be careful. Oh. Please, I'm begging you, because if I respond to what you are saying, you will cry. You will play this record to your parents, they will cry for you. You play it in your street, you will have videos of tears. Like you do nothing else but cry. You're not a threat to anybody. There's nothing you are doing that cannot be replaced. You are traders. You buy and sell. You're not in manufacturing. You don't do business. You understand nothing about branding. Relax. Whatever you are doing, do it well, succeed, thrive, do well. But in your mind, don't ever think that you're a threat to anybody, especially Yoruba. Like, who, how, when, where, what? Do you know what happened? You know what? Guess what? Where did I put that? No. Okay, I remember where it is. Let me tell you something. During the war, the best times in Nigeria's economy was during the war, when you were away. You know why? Importation doesn't help the economy. That's why when you guys cry about seaports, I wonder if you can't think about creating something. That's why this consumption to production nonsense that you guys talk about, it makes absolutely no sense. Apart from Hero Beer, there's nothing you produce. But well, thank God for OT. At least now they're talking about, Abba shoes, which of course would make a lot of sense, because that would mean that more things can be exported. We've got to relax with all this stupid narrative of people hating on you and they are threatened. What exactly is the threat? First 50 companies in Nigeria. I'm talking companies, not shop or what boy. Real companies. Companies like. Apart from the trillionaires that wear singlets, like, let's talk serious. Let's be serious. Please stop being childish. You're threatened. You know what? Let me look for that document. I'm coming. I am here, but I'm coming. I'm Yoruba, so you get the point. Yoruba company have taken up Yoruba. Really? Please send me the news, or maybe I'll check it out later. But let me quickly find this one first. I don't like when people just. If you want to make yourself feel comfortable or feel happy, that's fine. But don't do it at my expense. Don't come around and be so stupid to say things like, I'm threatened. I can't be threatened by foolishness. What do you bring to the table? Listen, I think you guys have been pampered in this country. I'm looking for that document. I'll read it to you. What happened after you guys left Nigeria during the war? Everything came crashing after you came back. Listen, people, let's all live together in peace and harmony. Let's all live in peace and harmony. And wherever you are, just do well, succeed, make progress. God will bless you and the work of your hands. But never in your life, look at the Yoruba man and tell the person that they are threatened by what you don't contribute anything. If you leave now, nobody will feel it. You left in 67, you left in 93. Also Abiola moved out. It wasn't felt. Oh, and this is me being calm, because there are worse answers I could give you, because you're not very smart. I found it. God is good. Everybody say praise God. Hallelujah. This is Nigeria GDP historical data. I'm going to give you guys just an overview of what happened. That's why when people say things like, we're going to leave Nigeria, I'm always like, when are you planning to? Because let's make it as quickly as possible. We're doing data here, Abi. We're doing facts. So let's do facts. 1964. In fact, let me start from 1961. Our GDP was $4.47 billion. Per capita was $97, and the growth, we had only 0.19% growth in 1961. So from 60 is 0%. So we're starting afresh. So 60 was $4.20 billion. And we're starting with 61. We grew by 0.19%. 62, we grew by 4. We grew to 4.10%. 63, 8.58%. Guys, listen. Oh, so it was 0.19, 4.1, 8.58 in 63. 1964, we grew by 4.95%. 65, we went up to 4.89%. Put it up for reference. It's only you is seeing what you are reading. Don't worry. If you don't believe what I'm saying, you can get the hell out of this place. I'm not reading it for you. I mean for people that have wisdom. You lack it. Who do you think? Who do you guys think? Are you guys dumb? You are here based on my magnanimity. What sensible people usually do on these live sessions is that they will ask for the source, which I will eventually still mention. Not tell me to put it up here, because this is how you talk to your parents. Be serious. By the way, this is from macrotrends.net. So Google it now, you'll find it. If you cannot Google yourself, go out, go and drink your Euro beer and talk to your beer parlor people. 64 was 4.9. I'll start again, because this clown has... I don't want a harmless suggestion. Don't suggest anything. Just listen. If you can't listen, God bless you. Guy, I'm angry. And I'm just laughing, but I'm angry. I'm angry because of what some people were writing in the comment section earlier. I just did not respond. Now I'm responding. So when I'm angry like this, just don't suggest anything. I beg. God will bless you in Jesus' name. Amen. Go to macrotrends.net right now. You will find what I'm doing here. You will see it. I'm serious. Let's even forget. Jokes aside. Macrotrends.net. Look for Nigeria GDP historical data. It's not hidden. I'm not covering it. There's nothing special. I'm not hiding information. I'm not holding information. Macrotrends.net. We don't paste things on this page. God bless you. So all the things that you said, I'm trying to respond. So don't come and suggest anything while I'm responding. God bless you in Jesus' name. Amen. 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 Thank you for understanding. Let's go back to it. 1961, we grew by 0.19%. 1962 by 4.1%. 63, 8.58. Then 64, we dipped. We came down to 4.89. 65, we came down to 64, we came back to 4.95. 65, we came down to 4.89%. By 66, when Iransi took over, we came down from 4.89 to minus 4.25. That was the first time we knew that we were in soup. But why do you easily get angry with other people's opinions and you think your own is perfect? It's because you are dumb. 66, it went down to minus 4.25%. 67, it then went to minus 15.7%. Again, macrotrends.net, Nigeria GDP historical data. All of us can find it. So we're looking at the same document. When the war started in 67, it went down minus 15.74. That was the year Awo was appointed Minister of Finance. So what happened after Awo got in the mix? It went up from minus 15.74, it went to minus 1.25. Then in 69, from minus 1.25%. So from 67 was when this whole scatter, Igbo don't come out. 68 war started, 67 war started, everything went down. 68, 1.25. By 1969, we went from minus 1.25% to 24.2. From minus 1.25% to 24.2% growth. At that time, you were not in Nigeria. You were in Biafra, gunning, bombing Nigerian installations. And the person who made this happen was the one you hate, and it's okay if you hate him, it's okay. It was the one who fought a war without taking a loan. No, by the time we were done with the war, we had a surplus. It's in this book. Read this book. By the way, guys, I don't know everything. If people that know more than me, even if you don't know more than me, say, but we're talking, I will listen. But if you are stupid and you're insulting me in the comment section, don't ask me that, why am I talking as if I know everything? It's because you're dumb. Don't be talking nonsense and be hiding behind one finger. This book, read this book, Go On, the biography of a soldier statesman. By the time we were done, the budget of 1970 was surplus. We had budget surplus in 1970. You were not around. 1970, we grew. So 69, I said 68 was minus 1.25%. 1970, it went up to 24.20%. 1969, 24.2. 1970, 25.01%. So in the heat of the battle, it was minus 15.74. 68, it became minus 1.25. Papa got in the mix in 67, so it came to 1.25. So it was like this. You know, plus or minus now. This is the mid. This is plus. This is minus. So we're here. It now came here. By the time he now did his own magic, it went to 24.2%. That was when Igbos left Nigeria. That's why I say things like, all of us are here together. Let's do well. Let's succeed. Let's live together in harmony. But don't ever open your mouth to say that you are the one doing something and you are the one that keeps it. What's the word that even triggered me? That Yoruba people are threatened. You are threatened by your economic what? 1970, we went to 25.01%. Then something happened. Igbos returned. 1971, we went down to 14.24. 72, down to 3.36. From that time to here is minus plus that we've been doing. Why? Containers. If you think economies grow by importation, you are not, please think again. So when you threaten people and say things like that, either you say something like they are threatened by your economic prowess, which I don't see, or that if you leave, something will happen. I'm like, you've left before. Even now, I'm trying to hold myself back. But when you use statements that make you, again, see, you can get a mirror, talk to yourself, make yourself feel happy, do well, that's fine. But in your life, don't go in a place where you have Yoruba people and then tell them that they are threatened. There's nothing you are bringing to the table that if you take out of, they will feel. The companies that we have in Nigeria right now, which ones pay taxes? Somebody is wearing singlets with trillions of dollars. You think that the economy grows? Everything was good until 71. It started dipping. Papa left, and then you came. Seems you don't have anything serious to discuss except this Yoruba thing. Yes, so if I was talking about English now, be England, you're talking about the English culture, you think it's nice because your mind is colonized and you're from the bushes. Do you know how Majeparam described your people in 1960? He said you were pouring out of your forests. He said you were pouring out of overcrowded forests. See, I love you. But in your life, don't joke with nonsense. Don't come here and be telling me that you are doing. Do well. Like again, like I always say, I don't do all this thing of get out. No, do well, succeed, prosper in Yoruba land. God bless you. God increase you. But while God is blessing you, don't get to the point where in your mind, you just say, let me look at a Yoruba boy, a Yoruba person, boy or girl, man or woman, and tell them that you are jealous of me. There is nothing you have to be jealous of. You need Nigeria. Listen, every document, pre-independence, after independence, has made this very clear. Like, I can read two in your hearing right now. You know what? Since we are done with today's topic, we're just chilling, are we? Let us chill quickly. Let me read something to you guys. I don't think they don't tell you guys your own stories, because if they did, you'll be humble. But again, you are underdeveloped. Well, where's that thing? Yeah. I'll first read one by Majeparam, then I'm going to read something from Anthony Nauro. This one is from October 1960. Let all of us just be living together in harmony. We're all happy, good people, great nation, one nation under God. Fantastic. I'm all for that. But that your show that is always going up that makes you talk nonsense, it needs to be cut to size. You're not properly raised for the most part. And I'm not saying everybody from your region is like that, or they are good people, oh. But people like say, those ones, they don't talk. They will see their brother doing nonsense. They would never say anything. Everybody just be calm until somebody now responds. That's when they now call me. Then, yeah, I thought you were kidding. How are you going to talk? Someone feedback parong orange abro Arabi sorrow rather than also. Mumbo, I'm looking for that document. I'm going to read it. Because the person asked me a question in the comment section. It's not good for people to ask questions you don't answer. This is from the listener of 20th October 1960. The woman's name is Margie Parham. And before you think she's a terrible person, this woman supported Biafra until she visited Nigeria and saw what was happening. Then she changed her mind. But she liked the Igbos. So let's start with Margie Parham's stuff. This was in October 1960. I believe that the Igbo are the main force for unity. That's a good thing, isn't it? Wait for me to read the next line. Book name, I literally just mentioned it. The Listener, 20th October 1960. It's a publication. The Listener. Anton Tetigboro, the Listener. Listener. The Listener of 20th October 1960. It says, beneath these difficult restraints, regional differences are great. In other words, there are differences in all the regions in Nigeria. Then it says, then she said, I believe that the Igbo are the main force for unity. That is good, isn't it? Until you read the next line. What's the next line? They need unity. I can have sessions on that one word. I believe that the Igbo are the main force for unity. They need unity. As the poorest region, they have had to pour out of their overcrowded forests to seek work all over other regions. Again, having no great history, no impressive chiefs or cities, they need to find their pride, their fulfillment in Nigeria itself. Able, individualistic, hardworking, democratic, they could be the unifying leaven, and Dr. Azikiwe could probably express as Governor General not only the independence but also the unity for which he has worked so long. When you guys are always shouting over people, we must unite, we must unite, the unity you are looking for is not for the sake of Nigeria, it's for your own sake. And guess what? I don't think it's a problem. But don't come here telling me that you have something you are giving, you are the one losing something, you really need it, I really need you. I don't. I mean, we all need each other. I need you to survive. We all need each other. Nobody is an island. But stop that nonsense of everybody, if we leave. If you leave, nobody will miss you. Because when you came, nobody asked you to come. But we are glad you are here. I have two more things to read. Effect Boron. Me, I don't insult. I'll just tell you. And by the way, this is not even the history that will even pain you. I'm just telling you what to make you understand the fact that the whole idea of unity from your side is because you need it. And I couldn't have put it in a better way. She said they are the main force for unity. They need unity. I'm coming up. And is there anything wrong with that? No. No, there's nothing wrong with that. And then she mentioned something quite interesting. She said, in fact, let's do like this. I'll take first part from this book from Margie Parham. She was an Oxford intellectual. That's Oxford University. I'm going to take part of what she's saying. Now I'll take something from Anthony Nauro. Then I'll take the second part, and I'll take that one. Then you can now make up your mind if you are the one doing anybody a favor. Just do well. Like, can you not just succeed and be good? Be carrying shoulder on top of nothing. Are we Emagbo Labari? Let's start with this first part. Beneath these difficult restraints, regional differences are great. I believe that the Igbo are the main force for unity. They need unity. as the poorest region, though perhaps the recent strike of mineral oil will change that. The reason I don't usually read that is because the mineral oil is not from Igbo land. It was from present-day Bayelsa. Oloibiri was in eastern region, but no, it wasn't Igbo. Then it says they need unity. As the poorest region, they have had to pour out of their overcrowded. I'm going to compare that with something from Atunenaro very quickly. It says here, captured documents now confirm that the intention. Captured documents now confirm that the intention of the former Eastern authorities was to conquer the former Midwestern and Western regions, and then in a later phase, subdue the former Northern region. This was after the war. This was not surprising. Igbos need to work and trade over the whole of Nigeria, which they have always known in this century as their country. There's a need to do that from your side. I would love for you to be here. I want you to be in Yoruba land. I want you to succeed, but I don't need you to be here. You need to be here. I want you to be here. I like that you are here. I have no problems with that at all. But I don't need. You need it. One more thing. I'll read the second paragraph of that woman's stuff, then I'll read from Atunenaro. If I have time, I'll read something from John de St. John. You say, okay, you're bad. No, it's not your bad yet. Wait. Oh my God. This is back to Majiparam, 20th October 1960. Again, having no great history, no impressive chiefs or cities. By the way, the first city for the person who is saying that I'm having problem with Igbos, the first city they had was created by the British in the 20th century. Last century, just about 100 years ago. Me, whose father started building cities over 1,000 years ago, I am the one who is jealous. Are you dumb? Again, having no great history, no impressive chiefs or cities, they need to find their pride, their fulfillment in Nigeria itself. Somebody says, no, it's true. The very first city from the Igbos was Enugu, and it wasn't even a city like that, it was a town. It wasn't a city, it was a town that was created by the British because of the coal, which was, by the way, a very good contribution, but it wasn't as much as what came from the other places. But anyway, let's just move on. Anyway, again, having no great history, no impressive chiefs or cities, they need. Do you know the reason I'm reading this thing? It's because of that word need. That's the only reason I'm reading those two documents. They need. They need. It's not they would like to. And I've said it several times, I want everybody to be in Yoruba land. I don't mind, Yoruba land is blessed. Come and take your, listen, Yoruba land is like the sea. If you like, bring tanker, you can't finish the wealth here. You can't. You can get angry with the river, or you can get angry with the stream, but your anger cannot dry the ocean. Whether you're angry or not, take what you want to take. You'll be blessed. Your blessing is proof that my land is fertile. So be blessed. But again, understand that you are the one who needs this place. This place doesn't need you. Therefore, that nonsense about people jealous, I'll finish this one and I'll go to that one. It says, again, having no great history, no impressive chiefs or cities, they need to find their pride, their fulfillment in Nigeria itself. I'll read from the other book. This one is Atunenaro, 12th August 1968. It says, of the three most populous ethnic groups of Nigeria, Hausa, Fulani, Igbos, and Yorubas, only the Igbos never had an organized state, an imperialist past, or a golden age. They had not centralized political administration or loyalties, and never had an era of kings, dukes, or conquerors. Do you know? Wait, I was going to stop there, but as I was going to say, do you know? I just remembered one book. Mombo. What was that? Where's that book? Oh, I must find that book. You guys, give me a second. I'll find it. It's here. It's somewhere here. Okay, I play motorway later on. We are just talking. Nobody's fighting anybody. We're just talking. It's a book by. Oh, they look alike. But it's not this one. I must find this book. I must find this book. So I'm looking for Joe Bokwe's book, but I'm seeing Ojuku and please of Alexander Madiebo. You guys, one of you should come. What about me? Want to live the table? He's not here. Oh God, do me, sha. It's here. Go do me more. It's here. Now I feel like we're still talking about the past, though. If I have time, I will talk about the present too. So whether it's the past, future, or present, succeed in Yoruba land, thrive. But whatever, all those narratives of beer parlor that you always say that you did something better than anybody, you are. But I'm not saying there's nothing good about you. I'm just saying that that ridiculous thing about somebody's, what's that word they used? Threatened. No, I can't read this one. It's too much. It's too much. Nah. Let's not carry gun into a knife. I won't read it. No. Here's the point. The reason you are doing this is because of colonization. In fact, let me read. I'll read the last part, but not the other part, because the other part will be too heavy. It says colonial activity, although itself generally degrading and dehumanizing, offered them, by them it meant Igbos, the opportunity to escape the inhuman conditions under which they lived. This is from one of your own. Escaped. But you are here now, okay? One day, maybe I'll have a session. I'll have a session and I'll read all these migration patterns. That's why when we had the conversation, when I was listening to that video where someone said, Kilos or no, everywhere we go, we have to conquer the place, we subdue. I'm like, what's that? I'm not measured. It's not by Yoruba man, it's by Joy Bokwe. In fact, let me give you two other books. Since you say it's Yoruba man, number one, Joy Bokwe is Igbo. The book is called Igbos 25 Years After the War. There's another one called Ethnic Politics in Nigeria by Okudiba Noli. That one, I will not read that one now. Not now. See, even in my kidney, it's important not to go overboard. But the point I'm trying to make is, everybody in Nigeria, we are all glad to be together. We can all live happily ever after. What nobody should do is to sit on this crazy high horse made of plastic. Because this high horse is Ike. It means that you can just put on fire, and melt. You don't even need fire, just heat, sufficient heat, and melt. So you're on the plastic horse. Just leave the horse and let's live together. We are all together. But all those superiority narratives from Azikiwe that you imbibed, no, it's not going to work. You're not better than anybody. I don't want to say you are worse, but just understand that you're not better than anybody. Do well, succeed. But no, nobody is threatened by you. Meanwhile, now, wake up from, I can't even see. Joy Bokwe is from Anambra State, I think. I don't know. By the way, it's not even, I'm surrounded. I can't even give you one. Let me give you one other book. No, it's too much. Tanya. Oh, Obi is a good student of Zik normal. He's copying what Zik did now. That's exactly what you're saying. Anyway, it's past 7. I was supposed to end by 7, but it's 22 to 8. I hope with these few points of mine, I'll be able to convince you and not to confuse you that we can all live happily together, but you need me more than, you need me, and I'm glad that you are here, and I'll support you, and I will, pray for you, but I'm not threatened by you. I want you to succeed. And if you ever see any Yoruba person in your life, don't ever use your mouth to say to the person that is threatened by you. There's nothing you have that threatens anybody. Okay? May God bless you. May God keep you and cause his face to shine upon you. May he be gracious to you. In Jesus' name. Amen. Let's have Prof.
Kábíyèsí.
Bàbá mi, ṣé wà?
A ní ká wá ṣe olúwa mi ẹ̀rọ.
Mo ti dákẹ́. I had to stop. I was going to read something. I was like, no, jẹ́ kí n dákẹ́, because kò ní dá kí n wá lọ bínú tán.
Ara máa ro àwọn kan over this weekend.
I had to stop because the book I opened, what I was about to read from that book, it's not good. It's not good.
Nǹkan tó bí kọ̀ọ̀kan ni pé, the truth is the truth. And people don't realize when people like you, people like me, or mostly Yoruba people, self-censor, right? Not that it's hard, but we just self-censor. So, this is not, Antoju, Onikamesoka, Abi, Bound Yoruba Shimanso. That's it. But some people will take it and say you are sorry, taking it wrong. Yeah. I want to be my way, cowardice or things like that, right? So I just want to buttress some of the things you said. 1967, after the exodus of the Igbos, there's this lady that wrote a book on urbanization in Lagos, Pauline Baker. And part of the statistics that she put in there was that when they exited, that total drop in market activities and water equal was less than £100. Less than £100. So, and then she now traces that, they are mostly retail sellers, that it's the Yorubas that are monopolizing wholesale and the import, but they are mostly small scale. So the market didn't really feel their impact when they left. The same thing were statistics on housing and things like that. They didn't, as much as the noise, they didn't have as much houses. With all the stuff that, we are the most successful in First Republic. No. So the statistics was so clear, about the people that own most of the landed properties. And of course, those were Yorubas, right? So I think people kind of mistake noise for activity, right? And Majoparam is not wrong. I don't think it was only some Oyibo, once a man one, they help them to dress it. You know how they dress it? They will say, they are very, that unlike the Yorubas, they are very dynamic and go-getters. So what that is saying is that, these people have no, nothing in the past. So it's like tabula rasa, we can write things. But that's a gentle way of saying it. That they are very dynamic and cool, right? And everybody needs each other. Like you said, this issue about, especially the Igbos need other Nigerians more. We know the issue with their land. After the Civil War, within 3 months, after the end of the Civil War. They were all back in the north, back in the west. It shows you how much they needed other Nigerians. And when you need other Nigerians, you don't go there and start doing things.
I said, what would make a person go back to a place that was so bad?
Exactly.
If not, there's not that option.
Exactly. Within 3 months, they are all back there. They are back in Kano. They are back in. There's a book by John Paddy of Kano that was tracing how they are coming back and all of those things, right? So you need other Nigerians. So you can't just be going around empty, chest pumping when you are successful. I don't know. It's a zero sum mentality to think that because you succeeded, it means other people are not succeeding, right? It's the kind of people that have scarcity mentality, right? If you try, it doesn't mean other people are not trying. Oh, see us, we came, we are rich. Yoruba people that own Lagos, they are lazy. They are not as, no, it's a stupid mentality. You're thriving, thank God. It doesn't mean the other people are not thriving, right? So that's one of the things. And interestingly, if anybody is saying, I want to leave Nigeria, I want to leave the British, the Yorubas can tell you the British interrupted our civilization. We can confidently tell you that one. The Caliphate can confidently tell you that one. I don't think they can confidently tell you what cultural revolution was interrupted. There was no cultural revolution that was interrupted. In my own opinion, the British, the coming of the British, brought a lot of things, to them than every other stuff, right? And you will be the one to turn around and start insulting other people. Like, oh, they are the problem. Why there's this country, there's this. You have more to gain than every other group, right? And that's something people need to realize. This scarcity mentality, zero-sum mentality, going around calling. Check, buddy. Okay. So calling people lazy, it has to stop. It has to stop. Coexist with people. People will say until Moroburuku saw, but we all self-censor. Just because we want peaceful coexistence. Honestly, people want peaceful coexistence. That's just it. And just take your cue from there. Don't keep going around to start throwing. I know some people are trying to, antagonize you and all of those things. They should just take a cue, learn, and live with others peacefully. When you live with your neighbors peacefully, you will thrive. But when you are constantly in a conflict with your neighbors, it's a problem. So why don't you just choose to live in peace with people? Do your things, they do their things. That is all. It's not such a hard thing. You don't need to go around. We have bought all your property. We have done this. You have this one. We will displace you. Some people might not react. Others will react. So just for a few of them that are listening, that's my word of advice. Thank you. Obviously.
Thank you very much, Prof. Eshenwo. Thank you so much. And but you see, so the reason Yoruba people don't, even me, before he came up, there was something I was going to read, and I've always said it that and the funny thing is, what I want to read, I've read it here before, but the circumstances were different, so my tone was more measured. If I'm already excited about something based on people's so I'm responding to someone and I read that thing, my interpretation will be different. Sorry. My interpretation would have been different, and then that would, for me, I think it will water down the point I'm trying to make. It's going to become like Okombinu. And when I say, there's certain things that, you can, there are some things you don't want to say in the heat of the moment. And even then, even when I was calmer, I thought I was even calm, but I've been calmer in conversations. There are still things I would rather not bring up. Again, let me just say to people from the East, the reason the reason I wouldn't say certain things or I would be measured with things is not because of you. It's because of myself. So, for instance, we're talking right now, and somebody wrote in that place that they didn't see port. Are you supposed to be begging throughout your lifetime? Number one, if you want a seaport, you have to talk to God. And give you a seaport. You know why? Because you have no sea. Oh, that thou might bless me with the sea. Yes. Like Jabez. Pray like Jabez. God, I need sea. Government cannot give you sea. Your Bible cannot give. I cannot give you. You're just disturbing us. I can't give you sea. Only God can give you sea. Say, Father, do rehearsal of a prayer vigil. Ask for sea. I can't. There's seaport at One. Your guys are using it to bring it out on ammunition. It's still operational. It's still working. It's making billions on an annual basis. I don't know where you live, but there's a seaport at One. There's seaport in Calabar. And neither of those places has connections with your place. Calabar is not Igbo land. One is not Igbo land. Igbo land has no sea. And it's not a curse. There are many countries in this world that are doing well that have no sea. I mean, like, why must you, let me tell you something. Yesterday, no, let me read to you something I wrote down yesterday. Number one, so that you know that I didn't plan, I won't read everything apparently because I just say part of what I want to say. Let me read to you. I wrote this thing yesterday. The time is there, but I'm not going to mention the time. I wrote here, guys, this is from my notes. Igbo land may lack land, but so does Singapore. And yes, Igbo land doesn't have sea like Singapore, but Singapore doesn't have gas like Igbo land. I won't read the other thing I wrote down. You know why? I wrote this thing, I was like, wait. And I wrote some things like, these are things that Igbo land has. If you stay on this thing alone, you can turn that place around. Singapore has very little land. They had to reclaim the land from the ocean a while back. But they have sea. You don't have sea, but you have things. For instance, you have gas. If a people spend their entire lifetime wishing for what they can never get, then they will not be able to appreciate what they have. Why don't you ever talk about what you have and what you can do with it? Why are you always longing for what you can never have? And you can't have it because it's a problem of nature. It's a gift of nature, and you are not given that. But does that mean you are cursed? Kano has never had a seaport. Kano was a major cosmopolitan area, metropolis, in the 16th century. Onitsha has no seaport. Do people not travel from Cameroon to trade in Onitsha? Even right now, I've been to Area, I've been to Onitsha, I've been to many parts of. You guys speak as if the place is terrible. Like, it's not like Igbo land is not bad like that now. Where without sea, you can. I mean, there are things being. Forget all this banter we do on social media. It's not like
Switzerland is landlocked.
Switzerland is landlocked. Thank you. Switzerland is landlocked, and it's doing well. No, Lollyford, you're not serious. You're a bad person. Oh, you're a bad person. No, but seriously, I mean, jokes aside, this sea argument is redundant. You cannot have it. By the way, this Monday, just few days ago, I read that the first barge got to Onitsha River Port. They're able to get a barge in there, which is a blessing. And that's the best you can have, River Port. Ibadan, for instance, has never cried for Ibadan has more internal sorry, excuse me. Ibadan has no sea. Oyo State has no sea. Oyo State has generated more internal revenue than the entire 5 southeastern states. Do you think it is sea that brings prosperity? Sea can, but it's not the only thing that brings prosperity. States that don't have sea will build inland dry port. I mean, oh God, may God heal you at this point. You're Fadra. But sincerely, I wrote some things here. I don't want to read it out about you on Igbo land because I was just thinking about, because yeah, people are bad. Although you say Somalia has seaport. Anyway, the point is what I wrote about. I was comparing. So sometimes I like comparing, right? So I was looking at Igbo. I was watching a documentary on Singapore. I think it was Monday or Sunday. I was watching a documentary on Singapore. And so yesterday I was just thinking about that, and I had a conversation about Igbo land. I was like, wait, I mean, just like, and you, what document? I mean, I've not visited Singapore before, but at least all of us can study, read books by Lee Kuan Yew, watch videos on the evolution of Singapore, and like, well, this problem seems familiar. It's the same problem in the Southeast. There is no land, but see what Singapore has done. Singapore did something very crazy. They have underground railway, and the connection. You could drive on the ground like the way they did build their city. My own point is just that, and Singapore got independence in the 60s. Nobody said them be white people. Surely they're not smarter than Nigerians. So I'm thinking like, and I was actually thinking, generally. So, but somehow I stumbled in my mind about Igbo land has a similar problem. But I was like, so I now caution myself like, no, Igbo land has little land like Singapore, but at least Singapore has sea. By the way, that's the only thing that you can call a natural resource that Singapore has, sea. They don't have oil, they don't have gold, they don't have any. Igbo land has more mineral resources than Singapore. So if we're really thinking straight, what we should be talking about in Nigeria right now is resource control and true federalism. Because if own region, for instance, the gas in Imo is unexplored. Nobody has touched anything. It's not like we're using gas from the south. We're not using gas from the southeast. But by the time it's going to be explored, my prayer, to be honest, and this is straight from my heart, I would like it that you can control your own resources. In other words, you don't have to share that money with Yoruba people. Like all of us are sharing Lagos money and oil money, and don't share anything. Like you get it, you just pay a portion to the federal government. You have this, you don't have to wait for derivation. You are the one who determines, like something better, than what we have right now. That's my prayer for the Southeast, so that you can build Dubai with the gas. But you see, and this is the truth, when we have conversations, even with some of the best thinkers, and I'm sorry, I've listened to some of your best thinkers, they don't think like owners. They're always thinking about other people's places, because that's where they're living. How can we do this? How can we take over? How about where you're coming from? Like what I just said right now, it's a prayer from my heart for you that you will take advantage of it. So if you have that situation, then you can build a Singapore in, I don't know, 20, 30 years. So the reason I'm having these conversations again and again, I'm talking about what happened in the 1940s. If you notice in the last few weeks, it's been about regionalism, true federalism, regionalism, true federalism. If you have true federalism, I don't have to depend on what you have. That's the conversation we should be having, not this thing of if I leave, you will suffer. If you leave, you will suffer, because the last time you left, you suffered. There's a book I did not read earlier. I just remembered it right now. I won't read it. It's John de St. John, the Nigerian Civil War. What he said about starvation in the East. The last time you left, you suffered. So all these threatening people with straight. The point I'm trying to make is just that at the end of the day, every region has something. But if you don't think like an owner, you're not able to even come to the point of harnessing what you possess. You're constantly looking at what other people have. So what other people have, e.g., seaport. You don't need seaports to prosper. Just get that straight. And there are many things that Igbo land has going for it even today. Yes, there's erosion. Yes, there's...
Are you saying they should be like that widow and Elijah? That thing they have in their house.
She said, Elijah said she should take the oil. He said, what do you have in your house? That's the question.
Exactly.
That's the question. He said, what do you have in your house? And you know what? Since he brought up Bible, let's talk the story. The woman was in trouble. Her husband had died, right? And the children would be taken as essentially like indentured servants. But the idea was like, if you don't pay this loan at this point, your children will go into slavery. The husband was a prophet, he was dead. The woman had boys to raise, and there was no way to get money. So she went to the prophet and said to him, my husband is dead, I have to pay the creditors, they're about to take my children. And then the question that man asked her was, what do you have in your house? She said nothing but a jar of oil. And then he said to her, borrow vessels from your neighbors and then pour the oil in those vessels. And then she went home, she borrowed vessels from her neighbors, and then she poured little oil in each of the vessels, and then of course it multiplied, and then she sold that and they used the money to... The lesson in that story is that there's always something at home. There's always something. And if you don't see it, and you're looking at somebody with tanker, but you have one oil, you will never maximize what you have. That's the point. And jokes aside, banter aside, the truth of the matter is that there is no part of Nigeria that is not blessed. Sometimes even to local government level. Some states in Nigeria have one. There's no state that has one. Some have 2, 3, 5, 10, 12, 16 mineral resources in the ground. Why are we not having conversations about solid minerals and how you can develop powers instead of having everything coming from see what Osun State is doing. With Osun State, for instance, mining is under the purview. Be wrong, to be honest, because why should federal government be the one at number one? Federal government has no land. Land is held in trust by the state government. So why is federal government the one in charge of mining? Why can't states decide that? Right? But even then, with the way it is, what happened in Osun, for instance, for all the things they are trusting God to help him do, at least they did this one right. They bought shares. I think it was in Shegilola. They bought shares in the mining company so that whatever the mining company is making, the state also has a portion of it, even though they cannot control the resource the way it should have been done. In other words, they're looking for creative ways of ensuring that they don't miss out on what is in their own ground. These are conversations that make sense. But again, since you're always thinking like a nomad, I'm in your house, I must get what is your house, I also have rights, you don't remember that you are coming from somewhere and there's something back at home as well. There's no state in this country that has no mineral resources. Some of them have 5, some of them have 15, some have 18, some have 20. From talc to kaolin to bitumen to lithium, all kinds of things all over the country. But if we don't have this conversation that we've been having on federalism, which is the reason I've been doing this series, and if you notice also we're talking Awo, Zik and Federalism. And the reason I'm also doing that is because people who spend their lifetime insulting Awo, maybe they should be reminded what their fathers did. Because we're in this soup because of some people. Again, I'm not doing this to blame the person, but I'm saying that there's something I've noticed in the last few years, and it started in the 60s, actually, late 60s. Attack on it started in the 40s. It started in the 1940s. Yoruba political leaders are usually vilified. Any mistake they make is blown out of proportion. And there's a reason for that. If a people have no heroes, and by the way, some people don't, but if you have heroes and your heroes are destroyed in your presence, or they are talked down on and they are denigrated for no reason, it means that you cannot build on what they have done because you're going to denigrate what they built. Therefore, you're starting all over again. The person who is doing that to you who has no heroes. I'm not going to mention any group because I'm not angry again. There are groups in Nigeria who don't have any heroes going by 500 years. But watching a video the other day, somebody was talking about heroes and was mentioning, he said he was talking about ancient people and was mentioning people that died in 1996. Ancient people that died in the year 2000. How is that ancient? So the ancient story for that particular person, I'm not mentioning any ethnic group. The ancient story for that particular person is something in the 1960s. That person cuts down everything that looks like heroes to you. Everyone that's a hero. Your political leaders, especially Awo. And when I see, and again, Awo was a great, he's a great man. He's still here. Awo is a great man. But Awo is not a perfect being. He made mistakes. But you know the funny thing, nobody even talks about the mistakes. What they do is to invent weaknesses for him. He's human, he has frailties, but that's not his weakness. That's not his frailty. That's not his error he made. The error he made, I've talked about it here before. The errors he made certain mistakes. He's human. But the ones that are imputing, say, Awo did this, Awo did that, he didn't do it. The people that did it are the ones who are saying Awo did it. E.g. Azikiwe, E.g. Mbadiwe, E.g. Chinua Achebe. And there's no way you're going to move forward if you don't acknowledge that thing. The person who can teach you federalism in Nigeria's history, period, is Awolowo. There are others that have something to say, but the person who actually is an authority in that field is Awo. Zik never not even tried to hear from him. Even from his first speech in 1943 on creation of 8 states, he already started seeing ethnic supremacy and superiority in his ideas of what federalism should look like in Nigeria. So that's why we're having this conversation. If we can talk federalism, we can get into other things. You start seeing the need to control your space rather than always looking at what other people have. What do you have? What do you have? What do you have in your house? Somebody says, where else is your land, Igbo man? It is well. All right. We've stayed longer than I thought, but it's been an interesting week. Next week, we're going to continue our sessions on Awo, Zik, and federalism, but we're going to be going into constitutional evolution. I'm going to use topics that are, so sometimes we don't say federalism. May not go be like, say, we did university lecture theater, but the truth of the matter is that we need to change our thinking in Nigeria. We need to change our thinking, and if we succeed, then we can change the structures. And somebody says, oh, but the politicians are not here. I think they are here. Both the present one and the future ones. When I say future might be 2027. Some of you might eventually turn out to be House of Representatives House of Reps members or in the Senate. What are you going to say when you get there? Please listen to these things again and again. Get the books, read them, so that when you speak, and I always say this, there are two set of people I think listen, apart from the rest of us. There are people who, just in case you find yourself in the room where they're having these conversations, you will have something to say that will change the narrative. And in case you are the one sitting at the table, you also be able to help us to change the narrative. That's the reason for all of this. So please, whether you're a politician now or you are aspiring to be one, whether you are in the room when they're discussing it or you are at the table when the conversation is being had, these are the kind of things we need to talk about as a nation. See all those European thing of I'm better than you. Just leave that one in let me not mention any place, but you know the point. All right. It's been a fantastic session. Thank you very much for being here this week. We've discussed a lot of things. For next Monday, 1 p.m. Ife time, we're going to continue. We'll talk about the constitutional evolution, Macpherson, Richard. And I know that a lot of us, we study sciences, so probably didn't do government and everything. But we'll just find a way to say it in such a way that just imagine you teaching an art student Boyle's law or Charles' law. It's the same thing. So we'll find a way to explain so that we'll all be on the same page and then we can start thinking differently about Nigeria. And my prayer is that Nigeria will work, and that in our lifetime things will get better. Not just the rhetoric of it go better, but it will actually work based on what we all contribute to making it work. So thank you very much. I want to thank everybody who came up to speak. Prof. Remy, Lady B. 1 euro beer. I don't drink beer. If I even drink beer, it will not be euro. But I don't drink. But thank you very much for the offer, Oriola. Thank you, sir. So thanks everybody. I used to do something from time to time. I didn't do it today. I'm going to do it now. I just do it from time to time. I think we got. Meanwhile, you know what? Let's do it this way. Let me bring somebody up to speak. While the person is speaking, I'll put up the details. That way, it will make better sense. So let me bring Umbo. Let me bring somebody up. I just remembered. I do it once in a while. I do it as much as if I remember, I'll put it up. People support what we're doing, and let us have the details. But while Celebrity speaks, I'll put it up. Celebrity. Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. I don't have much to say. I think you've said it all, and the other contributors as well. They've said it all. We, as a Yoruba man, we always love other people to flourish and get greatness in our land. We are happy seeing other people prosper in our land. That's how we have. So nobody can take that away from us. So if other tribe or one tribe just feeling that other people cannot do without them, that's their own cup of tea. That's for me. I have Igbo friends, I have Hausa friends, I have South friends. So I have every tribe in Nigeria, they are my friends. So I don't have anything against anybody, but nobody can invade my own space. No, that one is not possible. And thanks for what you do. We really appreciate you.
Thank you,
sir. For guiding us. We that are still aspiring to be a politician one day. At least we are getting a lot of history and how we can shape Nigeria. We are getting it from you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your submission. And yes, so I have to mute you. The beauty of history is only seen when the lessons are extracted, right? So we read history, but want to learn lessons so that we're able to have a better life and also a better future for our children. And that's the basis for, and that's I'm always adding the caveat that I'm not doing any of these things because I want to denigrate an ethnic group or so. We're talking about the war, for instance. Just that my tone may sound like that because there's frustration in Nigerian history. Sincerely, let me promise you, if you read Nigeria's history, you'll be angry. You'll be angry. You'll be wondering, why didn't they tell us these things? You know, why did they leave us to be at the mercy of propaganda, of propagandists? So, and I want to say that I know that sometimes I get forceful, but it's not because I have anything against any group or anybody. It's just because law from we've had lies for about 50, 60, 70 years. Truth is meeting up with it, but when truth meets up, truth come be fast training. So that's why it gets forceful like that. But I'm glad we're all learning the lessons. Thank you very, very much. I think the other person has gone down, but if you want to support what we're doing, please use the bank details. Thank you very much for your support. I see people liking the live and sharing the live. We're on 69.9K. Of course, we started at 5:15 thereabout. Second session. We had the first session earlier, but thank you very much for making it work. Something else I want to say. Yes, all the people who got us to 67K likes on TikTok. Thank you very much. All the folks on YouTube, thank you for your support. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate you. And I saw some gifts while I was speaking. And yes, I don't usually stop to acknowledge the gifts, but I really do appreciate your generosity. Thank you very much. 1 second, I have to change this audio source. 1 second, please. All right. So thank you very much for your generosity and for your support. Monday, we're going to start talking about, I'm saying now so that it won't be the first time you hear it next week, Macpherson, Constitution, Richard, Constitution, the contribution of the Western region to that stuff. And if we have to mention stuff from the East as well, we will mention. Again, I see some people, I was saying earlier about the heart I saw. I saw some hearts and mustache and stuff. Thank you for your generosity. God bless you. Please interact with our videos on YouTube, on TikTok. We have some fantastic things in there. We have new things coming up, new content later this week. Somebody came up earlier and said, you are one of the content. Okay, it was Lady B. So you're one of the content creators. You know, before I used to think that, I don't like that thing. But you know, the truth is, it's, and I want to say this to people, in case maybe you are doing business and you want to use the internet, it's okay. It's a nice thing. You are creating content, whether you're making movies or you're doing stuff. It's a beautiful thing to know that people are actually learning stuff here, and that's humbling. And I do not take it for granted at all. So thank you very much for your trust, and thank you for being here. So now we're going to call it a day. Before we go, we usually play our anthems. We have the Nigerian anthem and also the Yoruba anthem. And like I said yesterday, we want to start playing both so that we'll have what folks on TikTok also have. So let's have Nigerian anthem and then the Igbo Bao, Yoruba anthem. I don't know if Igbos have anthem, to be honest, but I know Nigeria, I know Yoruba. And I know all the states in Southwest, I think they also have. All right, so here is the Nigerian anthem. Listen, sing along, enjoy. I was wondering what was happening. No, you don't just unmute like that, though. I was not checking around like kilo shele, kilo shele, kilo shele. Somebody say redrawn Nigerian border, son of falsehood. And I don't even understand what you guys are doing in the comment section. Anyway, here's the anthem. We'll talk about that later. Here's the anthem.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our only native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians home and proud to serve our sovereign fatherland. Our flag shall be a symbol
àwa ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀, ìmọ́lẹ̀ wọ̀ ní wọ́kùn lágbára Ọlọ́run, ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò ní bàjẹ́, Nàìjíríà máa dára sí ni, ayé gbogbo wa náà máa dára sí. Ó máa ń gbàjà fún àwọn tó wà nílé àtàwọn tó wà lẹ́yìn odi, ibikíbi tẹ́ ẹ bá wà, Ọlọ́run àbùkún yín o, ẹ kéré oko délé o, ẹ ní kú sájò o, kò sí ọ̀kan náà tó máa kó sọ́nà bí èéfín. Gbogbo èròǹgbà ọkàn wa fún ayé wa, fún ilẹ̀ wa, gbogbo ẹ̀ ló máa wá sí ìmúṣẹ lágbára Ọlọ́run. Àní rí ibi kankan, gbogbo wa la máa rí bá ti ṣe, a máa rọ́nà gbígbà. Àdá fún wa. God bless Nigeria, God bless Yoruba land. You guys have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you on Monday, 1 p.m. Ife time, West African time. Going to have a new topic. We're still reading the book, Awo, the autobiography of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Some of these books you will get on Telegram at Radio Me Books. And if you want to support, please reach out to me or use the bank details up here. Thank you very much for your support and thank you for being here. Do have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you on Monday. Odaro Esho. Somebody on TikTok says, I don't know our old or new national anthem. Look at go. Please learn it. Learn it. This one is actually very good. Very, very good. And I saw what Lady B wrote there, Banner Without Stain. It's a beautiful, beautiful anthem. All right, I'll see you later. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless you. Bye-bye.